fucking movie with Danny McBride, the fucking the medieval one where the bad guy grabs like a pixie, grinds it up in under his thumb, and then fucking snorts it.
Yeah. You knew where I was going.
Yep.
Of course. The computer nerd has technical.
That was the new Underground, starring our very own Starcitizen art director, Mr. Ian Leland. Ian, why are we redoing the Underground facilities?
Well, kind of as we said in the segment, we always wanted it to be a much bigger, more special location in the game, so it was always on our to-do list.
And you've been here a while, the last 10 memories?
More bigger, more things.
Last 10 years, what's your favorite memory?
Ooh, favorite memory. It's kind of hard to pick one, but maybe a good one to start would be, I remember joining the company nearly 9 years ago and going on paternity and then realizing we're making Arena Commander, and we had about 6 or 8 weeks to make it, so that was a good challenge. Yeah.
I was not originally on your team, and it was just kind of like, here it is!
But it was good. It was a bit like baptism by fire.
Welcome back. Surprise!
We kind of pushed the engine to what it could do at the time, and we was super happy with it. Yeah.
So these new underground facilities, it's not just going to be a big, giant, empty, awesome-looking, playground with nothing to do.
Correct.
What are we going to be doing in these things?
I mean, all of our mission verbs counts. It's basically we want them to be a sandbox element. That players can go and explore, but whether it's sabotage,
I want to be able to reactivate that ore mining tool.
Investigate, or deliver boxes to all these elements go into
That's 16.0.
all the design elements.
That's
when we're thinking about this, when we're testing out rooms, like all the interaction
beta
aspects for it,
beta
puzzle
10.0
elements.
or whatever. Fucking
So
final
basically,
release,
when the team's doing it, we're building it, but also implementing the different design elements into the room at the same time.
And all those different theme rooms that you were talking about, open up all kinds of storytelling possibilities with the different companies and who knows what misadventures are going on.
Exactly.
3 levels underneath the surface of Yila versus 4 levels underneath the surface of Pyro 2 and stuff.
Exactly.
And these are coming to both the Stanton system and the Pyro system and wherever else afterwards.
Correct.
I'm not saying, because I like my job. All right, so in addition to that, am I this one? I'm this one. No, I'm this one. This one. Hi, everybody. We've got a number of promotions going on today. Everybody that's a member of the Starcitizen community, you've got a registered account on the website, is getting a free digital goodies pack. It's available for all backers. It's got Francis, the party animal plushie, which I believe is a Finley with a fun hat, isn't it? There's nobody here to answer me. A Falston jumpsuit, the Shubin edition, which is really cool. We don't have a lot of onesies in the clothing-wise for the Precision Universe. And a grenade launcher, because giving everybody in the universe a grenade launcher, that's going to be fun. We also got a Toby Eye Tracker contest going on. JRDF, our partners at JRDF are giving away Carrick, Freelancer, and Cyclone models. And the Halloween promotion is already live. And there's another Halloween contest where they're giving out some Caterpillars and Buccaneers. You can find out everything you need to know about that up on the robertspaceindustriescom website. And yes, I saw the chat going. I did comb my hair because while Brian was being messaged about one thing, I got messaged by my mom. I didn't like that I hadn't combed my hair. Hi, Mom. All right, what's next, everybody? Up next is, it's one of the segments that I'm looking forward to most. It's our sleeper segment of the day as far as I'm concerned. The need for multiple speeds with Rich Towler and Yogi and Jed and Johnny and Dave from the Flight Experience, Flight Comp feature team. They keep changing their names as much as I do.
Here we go.
They're going to talk about one of Star Citizen's oldest and most complex problems.
Here comes the
and
salt.
the exciting new solution that they have for it. So check that out. We'll meet you back here.
Everybody in the verse is grabbing their salt
my name is
shakers
Yogi
now.
Glass. I'm a
gameplay programmer in the vehicle feature team. I'm here with Rich Towler,
Yogi!
David Colton, Jed Talbot, and Johnny Young. And today we're gonna talk to you about the upcoming changes to the flight systems and the combat systems, which I don't specifically postpone for you, but which will eventually find the way to the system universe.
Because I have that kind of same haircut, but
we want to define ship roles for the game because every role in itself and every ship can offer unique gameplay opportunities for individual players.
We want to provide a lot more variety to the gameplay in Starcitizen, a lot more opportunity for different careers, different responsibilities, and different sort of perspectives and views on gameplay where people contribute different types of work and different types of jobs.
Starcitizen is supposed to be a big expansive game with giving the players lots of chances
you got
to
one,
have
huh?
a variety of different experiences. It's not just about combat, it's not just about an economy, it's not just about piracy, it's about all of those things happening at the same time. So we need ships that can act and function in different ways to support all of those different goals.
In trying to figure out these roles and define what they are and make the gameplay for them, we started very heavily leaning toward combat, mostly because combat is a mechanic that is very widely applicable throughout the game, and the principles behind it apply to various other roles in the game.
We've been working away in the S42 branch, and this has really allowed us to isolate these ships. So we're kind of broken it down into archetypes, and it's really allowed us to kind of break down what these ships do. You know, and also it's to make sure that when we are defining these roles and balancing these roles, that we're putting the ships in the right place, because we don't want the ships to be like, you play this ship, it means you dominate this part of the game. That there's always got to be plus and minuses so the balance is right. So there's still some crossover between the ships. So just picking one type of ship just isn't just a win.
We have already defined several ship roles, and they're usually known as light, medium, and heavy fighters. Light fighters for us are fighters which are very dominant in the area of 1 versus 1 PvP combat.
But they come with a downside, because obviously the light, which means the materials chosen on the ship, are probably not the strongest. So it's more about the attack. It's more about trying to outposition and get in there and attack and get out of the situation.
Guy is getting his
kind of the
rig all set up.
They're not supposed to be really good at 1 versus 1, but they excel at N versus N engagements. So when we have,
I think he got lost.
Medium fighters for us,
so he was leaving his place quite a while ago.
Because they have a lot of hard points, so they have a lot of loadout flexibility. So a player can tune them to the role whatever they want, but they will never reach the performance of dedicated ships.
A lot of the medium fighters sometimes come with a turret as well, so they've got that additional gameplay of the turret, which is aimed to kind of counter the lack of maneuverability that those ships have.
And then additionally to that, we have racing ships, which are basically just really fast at changing the velocity vectors, and interceptors, which we basically just want to go very fast in the forward area, but never reaching really the performance envelope of dedicated dogfighters.
Interceptors are designed to kind of catch up to ships and disable them. So they come with kind of advanced kind of hardware on these ships.
Bombers, on the other hand, are they're just slobbing heavy ordnance at larger targets, so you use them to take out bigger ships, but they're not really good at killing small fighters. And then from smaller ships coming to larger ships like Constellation and up, we want to change the gameplay to be less about positional combat, but more going into the naval style of combat, where it's important to show the correct shield and fire arcs and timing your shots over long distances.
So the purpose of ship roles is to really help players understand what ships should be used and when they should be used. And it's really about delivering on those kind of gameplay promises that we've been talking about over the past kind of several years.
If every ship is the same, it's not fun. But if we have dedicated ships with dedicated pros and cons, then we can create very exciting combat environments. And the biggest challenge we see in order to get that gameplay we want is the current speed that we have in combat.
And here comes all the solo player
hate. It's a subject we've talked about many, many times in the past. And it's something we've tried many things with. We've tried limiting things at speed, we've tried adjusting handling at speed, we've tried so many things to kind of manage the negative impact of speed on combat.
When ships are going fast in combat, they usually just end up very far apart, which is not very interesting, and it just devolves into jousting very quickly, which is also not very interesting.
The second you create a longer distance between you and the target, your angular requirements to maneuver to that target are just extremely small. And this is a very obvious math reason why high-speed combat is kind of the opposite of what we want to achieve.
Yeah. Physics.
Meaning meaningful and
fucking
effective
physics.
Positional maneuvering.
We want the combat to be closer and to be more turn-oriented, so rotations should matter
speed
more
of light
than
problems.
just flat speed.
Having very high speeds that are pretty much the same between all ship classes negates a lot of the opportunity for smaller ships to flex different types of gameplay.
Another big issue with the speeds in combat is it's very hard to keep players engaged in the combat because players can move so far so quickly in such a short space of time. It's quite hard to keep a track on your opponent.
So you might think, oh, why don't we just make the ship slower and call it a day? Well, we can't do that.
The main reason we can't just make everything slower is the size of the Starcitizen world. We've got huge planets where we need to go from the planet's surface up into space. We need to transverse between different systems. So essentially we can't have just low speeds all of the time.
There's a massive universe out there to explore, there's planets to explore, and the feelings we want to capture with the speed, we still want an element of danger that you can still go too fast in lots of situations.
We have tried an awful lot over the past few years with what are called soft speed caps, where there is no speed cap on ships, but we encourage gameplay to occur at a lower speed. But it doesn't really work because the advantages of flying fast in terms of defense is just better.
So since the last year, the focus of Vehicle Feature Team shifted very heavily towards Squadron 42 and nailing down the flight and space combat experience for it. And I'm very proud to say that we finally found a really good working solution that we're going to show today.
Uh-oh.
So the main idea is
go.
to simply not have combat and long-range travel at the same time. So we're splitting these gameplay experiences. This will be done by a thing which is called Master Modes. And Master Mode is a thing that is globally applied to your ship. And we have two of them. We have SCM, which is now relabeled as Standard Control Mode, and QCM or QM for Quantum Mode.
The idea is that between these two modes, we can constrain the speeds in combat and also get all of the maneuvering, like high speed maneuvering and traversal mechanics that we had before, but in these distinct modes that are integrated with lore and
it's
integrated
the cruise
with
that they used to use
functions,
before.
There's costs and payoffs for being in each of the two modes.
Basically,
so let's start with Standard Control Mode and what this means. So this is the mode that we intend to be the functional mode of the ship, whether it's combat or mining or any of these kind of core kind of things the ship does. We want the player to do these things in this mode. And what this does is it reduces the speed of the ship, but it also enables the shield to be turned on. And obviously the intent behind this is where you do your combat. It's where the guns are on, the missiles can be armed and fired, and all the kind of operational things the ship does operates within this mode.
The speeds that you can reach
no
in
shields
SCM
in
are somewhat limited,
in
somewhere
this
between 2 and 300
QCM mode.
meters per
Interesting.
second, tuning
I knew this
pending.
was coming.
But this is basically the hard cap, which you cannot not really exceed. You can slightly exceed this by using boost, but you cannot maintain any velocity beyond that SCM limit for
that's a good
longer
solution,
period of
I
time.
think.
So we're thinking of this as some kind of energy management system, so you can go a little bit faster with a little bit more accelerations when you need to, but you know that it is a limited resource and you should use it carefully.
Specifically, the boost space is interesting for space combat because that boost space is not spheric as it was before. You can boost the fastest if you're going forward on a straight line, and you have a lot of debuffs when you're trying to boost backwards. That alone gets us a lot of interesting maneuvering space and variation in the day-to-day dogfight maneuvering, so to speak.
Importantly, you don't have your quantum drive available in this mode. The idea is that quantum is restrained to the quantum traversal mode.
The second mode is quantum control mode, or QCM or QM. What this mode does is it unlocks your maximum velocity that your ship can reach. So when you were limited before to 200 to 300 meters per second, now you can go to 1200, 1400 meters per second, whatever your ship allows you.
During the development of DM Quantum Mode, we realised we needed something that was a little bit more kind of about travelling large distances, but not at the distances that you need to, speed up your quantum drive and travel across the universe. So we've created this feature called Quantum Boost, which is available in the Quantum Bird, and you can access it at any point. So at any point you want to kind of boost towards your
They've been
location,
talking about Quantum Boost for a while now.
It's just too far away. And this boost is available for a limited amount of time, and it's purely on a straight line.
Just to give you like a ballpark, Quantum Boost will allow you to go to a target fast if it's within, let's say, 50,000 kilometers, whereas you will use Quantum Travel to do very long range jumps between planets. So Quantum Mode allows you to go very, very fast with up to like 1200, 1400 meters per second when you want to zip really fast over a planet. It also allows you to do Quantum Boost to quickly go between points of interest, which are rather close to you. And it allows you to travel long distances between planets and large-scale stellar objects. But it comes at a cost. Your capacitor systems are non-functional because they interfere with the quantum bubble that is allowing you to go fast. You won't have shields. Your shields will collapse right away when you swap into quantum mode. Your weapons will stop working because anything that's firing outwards of your ship will disintegrate the quantum bubble. Your quantum mode is going forward, and you will also be able to use thrusters. So basically, all your capacitor and combat-related systems are turned off instantly.
I don't know. I'm kind of liking this.
There'll be a little period of time
it's going to be good.
where everything has to spool up and change.
I'm indifferent
so
about
you'll
it.
Lose your shields during this. You won't have your weapons during this, but you also won't be going fast. So there's a risk-reward element when you need to switch modes.
So it's going to be a very kind of conscious choice of what mode you should be in
you're dead
at any particular point. So if you feel the
you're
threat
instantly dead.
We still don't know how this mechanic is going to react with ships like Mantises. They may change the way the quantum snares work. Who knows?
And this is going to kind of bring in an element of danger and an element of risk.
Because going into the two different modes is like a systemic thing within the ship's items, we actually have the opportunity now to define ship roles that can block people from escaping, either using devices that suppress the quantum bubble or devices that can effectively interfere with your ability to transfer between the modes. For example, specific ships like interceptors can be tuned such that they have a higher standard control mode speed, so they're able to catch up with people. Or, for example, make the swap between the modes faster and more efficiently so that they could catch up with you, go into standard control mode and attack you more effectively as per the properties of their ship versus another ship which might not be as good at doing something like that.
It's something that's fundamentally changed the gameplay experience for us. And this is working now, and we're playing it every day in the studio, we're refining it.
Yeah, people are freaking out right now. This is, people are flipping out right now.
You've got the core features, it's there in the game playable. And the difference it's made on the game for us is it's basically night and day.
Because the speeds have been limited in standard control mode, suddenly fights are a lot closer. The accelerations of ships similarly have been retuned a little bit, and their afterburner strength has been retuned a little bit to make it so that you can orbit around ships and have a lot more interesting maneuvering. And because the ranges are closer, maneuvers that would be performed by your ship have a much more significant impact because you're closer. So if I thrust up or down, you'll immediately see the difference. So similarly, things like capital ships effectively get a buff to their offensive capabilities with this change, because suddenly you can't orbit a capital ship at high range and high speeds.
Yes.
You have to get a lot closer, which will make the turrets
you can't buzz
much more effective.
A hammerhead at 1,200 meters,
more important and working as a group to attack capital ships.
This is going to make hammerheads really fucking scary. Really fucking scary.
This is a really exciting change.
Which should be. Hammerheads should be fucking scary.
Relatively low, where we know that the gameplay is better for that, while also keeping the point-to-point travel speeds.
I never believed that you should be able to take out a hammerhead in a fucking Gladius.
Playing with Master Modes in Squadron 42 has been a lot of fun, simply because it's changed the entire combat experience. Before, you'd find that you were fighting at a huge distance.
Because I hate
now you
jousting
find that you're
and I love
really
actual
tight,
dogfights.
close combat with the other players. I think the biggest
this is going to get people real close and dirty now.
When we have the larger ships interacting with the smaller ships. Once we can have battles with big capital ships and smaller ships,
we'll see.
We'll see how that I don't think has come out before. and I think it'll make a massive improvement to the game.
Having made these changes to implement master modes and rebalancing all of the ship speeds,
on the wall
we'll finally be able to define ship roles in the way that we've always wanted, and to bring a lot more variety to the gameplay that we haven't had before.
So it's been a really long journey here, obviously, because you've been a part of this journey.
Also tells me that they are gearing up for the cap ships
over the
for
time
this type of change.
to try and really create the experience we want. But the reality is, from us, it came down to what it always is in Starcitizen, which is creating choice for the players. It's about giving players the option, and their choices have consequences. So with master modes, it really helps define the player choice in the game. So they're choosing to do combat, they're choosing to travel from A to B in Quantum, they're choosing to QT boost somewhere. Just giving players that freedom within the universe we have is just it's a really magical thing, and we try many times to control that as designers, to try and get a specific experience at some point, but we always end up coming back to the fact, let's just give the players the choice and let them make the key decisions, and we'll design the balance around that.
We finally have it. So we're now nailing down the space combat experience for Starcitizen, specifically for Squadron 42. We know from internal playtest that the master mode stuff works. We know that it works with our flight retunings, and it's very exciting.
Careful,
it will
Yogi.
Take a while to ship this to the PU.
Can't say shit like that.
You fly in Squadron 42 is rather limited.
He said that we finally got it. We're finally nailing it down. It's like, nah.
But
oh,
the
yeah,
whole hard problem of designing this thing in the first place.
I think Yogi's also of the type that this is how it's going to be, and you're going to either like it or
it's all
fuck
currently
off.
playable in the game. That internally, that we're playing.
He
this
strikes
every
me
day.
as that type of person. He's not necessarily a
everything's
people
there right
pleaser.
now.
He's
all
this
about
is
the
how it
foundation
has
and the
to
tweaks
be.
that we're making, and we can't wait to get it in your hands.
So thanks a lot for listening to us today. We're very, very excited to get the changes to you as soon as possible.
I could be wrong.
And yeah, we'll hope to see you fighting in the verse.
Yeah, Yogi's a pretty straight shooter. I mean, no pun intended.
So
that kind of gameplay loop gives me like F-14 vibes with like the folding wings for different velocities.
Yeah. Lock S foils in attack position.
Yeah.
Who is most likely to win in a dogfight?
Okay.
An Ort win.
Ort win.
It looks like a salvo frag that's right next to.
Yep.
That is.
My one is my cargo hold is always full.
And a bottle of Radgast.
Chris Roberts.
Really?
That is crew. Oh, here we go. Here's some ship designs.
That's Vanduul Against Humanity, a game created by one of our own Starcitizen, one of the original Starcitizens, Mr. Ken Shadow. We still got it. It made the trip to UK, and we are playing it in between the sessions. So thank you again, Ken Shadow. John, I dropped the cards. It's gone. Talk to me about this segment we just watched. Is this BS, or do we actually have
messages?
I think we've got it. The team's been super hard at work for quite a long period of time on this. We've gone through I don't know how many versions of this.
Yeah, I see it.
We're sort of run out of interesting names to call all the development builds. We're onto fish names now.
Nope.
What?
I'll fill you in later when we're not
It's been a lot of work put into this, a lot of testing internally.
Well, you'll know the secret in a minute.
Friends make secrets.
It's not something I want to throw out there because it could be damaging.
One questions, but this is a pretty big change to the overall flight experience. Folks have been waiting for this fix for a while.
And we all know how this community takes shit and runs wild.
Give us why isn't this just going to be put into the PU?
Tell me I'm wrong.
Two factors. We started doing this for Squadron because naturally, to have a great flight experience in Squadron, you need it to all work together. So we're focused on Squadron first for that, and Squadron has a much smaller subset of ships than the PU has. It's a lot easier to do a system like this, get the broad strokes in, and then really dial it in for 6 or 7 ships versus the hundreds in the PU. So it's a scale thing that stops it going in the PU straight away. And then the other thing is lots of it ties in together with other systems. So it's not just flight mechanics, it's UI, HUD, radar, star map, quantum changes, and you have to get all of that together in one. We can't really piecemeal it. You just won't get a great experience if we go, oh, here's one bit of it, here's another bit later. We want to drop it in one big deployment.
Are we going to drip feed ships and like this ship's done and then this ship's done, or do you
you think more together all at once?
Yeah, what Brian said.
We have to do like a broad tuning across the board for everything. Day one for when this goes into the PU. Hopefully by then a lot of those will be really where we want them. That, as with game development, only constant is change.
Yeah.
There will be ones that change over time.
Oh, you changed the camera.
There'll be ones that keep going, and obviously community feedback's a great thing. It's very hard to get things right out the gate. There's only so much internal testing you can do. we need that feedback at that point.
And I do want to say to folks who are watching, wherever you're watching, the 6 to 7 ships in Squadron was not a confirmation that there are only 6 or 7 ships in Squadron. We'll confirm that stuff much closer. Just if you're already halfway through your Reddit post, just delete a couple times and
calm your shit down.
All right, you ready to move on to the next thing? That makes me believe that they are good. So we've been bouncing back and forth between you know really hot visuals with the planets of Pyro, and then gameplay stuff with investigations, and back to the really hot visuals with the underground facility, then back to the solid gameplay stuff with the flight experience. Up next is another really solid visuals.
Looks like Astro Club is right. They're not going to release Squadron until 2025.
Lorville, Starcitizen's first landing zone. We've learned a lot since it was first put in. We've built Microtech in New Babbage. We built Horizon on Crusader. We even went back and redid Area 18 on ArcCorp. But Lorville currently stands as the oldest standing landing zone in Starcitizen. And with our new team at Turbulent and ready to kick butt, and I was going to say kick names and take butt, and I almost messed that up, and then I messed it up trying to explain that I didn't mess it up. They're getting ready. They're already underway building a brand new Lorville Redux. So we'll send it on over to Eric Gagnon and Maxime Guidon. I had it. I was so close.
So close.
And they can tell you all about it. Ooh, and Ian Leland. Check it out.
Hello, my name's Ian Leyland and I'm the art director for Starcitizen, and today we're going to talk about an internal initiative called Lorville 2.0. Now with Lorville, and specifically the Lorville Cityscape, it was probably the first major landing zone we'd ever had to do, no-fly zone. But when we did subsequent landing zones, we built up a bit more of a knowledge base and experience base about how we can effectively introduce cityscapes. So Area 18, New Babbage, Horizon, we all developed more techniques, and we always wanted to go back into more.
Hi, my name is Eric Gagnon. I'm a principal concept artist for Starcitizen and Turbulent in Montreal, and I'm here to talking about the Lorville 2.0. When I started to work on the concept, initially what I did is to create a variety of sketches, black and white sketches of a different approach of that city. We create a side panel of a silhouette of the building. Mainly the reason we need to work on that is for the gameplay issue.
Hey, he's French as fuck.
We would like to make a gameplay in interior buildings, and we need to create
like that's the accent I liked from
so after the sketch,
it's not that he's struggling with
the footprint of that city.
He's trying
to build in a gray zone. So everything, mainly the 2 main units I used to build a city. So we have a kind of a proportion in terms of lengths and distances to respect. So this is why I used the 3D basis to working on that. So I need to make sure that the ratio of everything fits well to approach closely as possible. So mainly the goal is not to dig right away on the details, but it's to stay on the big picture and to see if the skyline makes sense. So this is a good challenge to play with that, and I think I did a nice job on that, because at the end, what the feeling we have, it's like a real city. So I use my 2D background and concept artist to
not too much modesty there. That's fine.
The best as possible.
He's owning it.
Concept
really nice
with all the techniques inside of it 3D paint over, sketching, painting, and at the end, I was needed to create a very speechless concept to sell the mandate to the people involved in that, and they make sure they believe on that project, and they could say, well, okay, now we are Lorville 2.0, and we're ready to moving on that.
Thanks, Eric. There's some beautiful image there, and we had a lot of fun internally developing that cityscape. Now, we're not just in concept development. We've actually just passed our white box milestone internally, so we're going to jump over to Max, and he's going to show you where we're at.
Bonjour, mon nom est Maxime Guindon. Je suis chef environnement artiste.
Okay.
Premièrement, je voudrais dire bonjour à la communauté francophone de Starcitizen, à toute la communauté en fait. Ce que vous faites, ce que vous partagez m'inspire énormément. Concepts done, it's time to start it in engine. What was possible to do and to extend or to make it much bigger than the initial Lorville city, up to something that matches the ambition. For instance, we are keeping the L19 area, we are keeping the CBD, we're keeping the spaceport, and we're building upon this and just extending the city. We've done several tests with the transit system, the rails, and we try to extend it out a bit. We're keeping the same number of gates, but we're moving them out. And so throughout these tests, we've built the city as just placeholder, white box, very primitive, to have this layout, this fast iteration of the whole city done, and then that we could see it and get feedback on it. So it will feel more like a believable city. Places in it. We're building arches,
So they're removing the no-fly zones
bridges, and like underpasses, and it makes it
what it looks like.
Interesting to be able to fly around. We see the community.
That'd be crazy if they just allow people to just fly around.
It's really and truly what they should do.
They've been asking for, we've been asking for it for forever.
Yeah. And then the way that we're building the city, we are starting now the gray box. We have like Montreal's tools teams now that are working on like
until the autocorrect fucking slams you into the city and gives you trespassing.
We're chatting with them, see what we could use from the library of tools. There will be several areas of like a higher level of detail, especially around landing pads on rooftops and lookout areas. And these are the places where the players will be able to land, since Lorville will be ready for those interiors. We started as a team of 2 artists working on Lorville, and now we're 5. And we could even be like more soon. Each artist has slightly different skill sets, and we complete each other. They bring ideas. I let them bring ideas to the table on how to advance what we're doing, make it kick-ass. So that's really important. So I hope you like what you see, and we can't wait to show you more. I'm happy about the opportunity of working on this mandate, because it's gonna make such a huge
You're not a
difference.
follower, Warp.
Thanks, Max. That's looking great, and hopefully you guys can kind of see even in a white box and format. We're seeing really good scale reads and understanding about how we can make the cityscape of Lorville probably one of our best yet.
Pop up the message.
And we'll be showing more
what's going on here
soon. Thanks for letting us showcase that for you today. Enjoy the rest of the show.
Release the Polaris.
What?
Yeah, I knew that would get Cuddy's attention.
Oh, I'm here. I am here.
You made him drop his ham sandwich. Weird. Okay, yeah. It entered you. It just didn't do the. You received 2 tickets thing for you. Yeah. looks gorgeous.
Yeah, I'm excited. I always like when they refinish stuff like that.
So you've taken the one that had the most egregious no-fly zone, and you're making it so we can just race through the canyons and under the bridges and everything. I'm going to ask you the same question I asked John Crew. Is this BS, or is this really what we're doing?
No, that's what we're doing, and hopefully you can see in the B-roll.
Well, there you go. It's completely an open fly zone.
You know, no fly zones. You know, they were there for a reason at the time, but as we grow, as we learn, we find ways to have a better player experience with that regard.
Still 4.0 stuff.
You see it,
so
how we
probably closer to that
got
shit.
things working with New Babbage. Then we started thinking, okay, there is a slightly different way, because ultimately that no-fly zone there is for a reason. It's not because oh, you know what would be really cool, right? It's like you know, we want to keep the player experience in, you know, the maximum level, so it's there. But for Lowville, as you've seen, you know, we want that experience to be as low as possible, to get that feeling where you can weave in between the structures, weave in between the buildings. And it was always something like, as we progressed through the landing zones, it was always like, one day we'll get back to Lowville. So I'm super happy that we're seeing this now.
And you know, we discussed the art pipeline for years. We would, you know, like I said, we're here for celebrating our 10th anniversary this year. We've been talking about how games are developed, and we've gone through the pipeline a number of times, from white box to gray box to. So, where would you say Lorville is? Obviously, what we were just seeing there is not finished.
Final art, we're in the final art phase. So basically, block out white box is obviously self-explanatory. Interestingly, grey box phase, I'm thinking more like first pass art. You know, so we're always trying to keep the team on the toes. But grey boxing is a terminology that we've used on all art disciplines, and it's kind of. But when you're using kits, and you're using kits and you're in grey boxing, you're not actually traditionally grey boxing. So we'll probably just call it like first pass art. But where Lowville is right now, we just passed the grey box review gate a few weeks back, so it's final art now. So we're on the really interesting part where we're doing, you know, really good engine look dev. I mean, you're seeing hints.
I'm looking at your pictures on the stream deck. Whose is this? That second picture.
There's still a few hurdles that we need to get over.
Well, that was a look at Lorville Redux.
I'll get a better picture of them later on.
4.0. I do want to clear up some of the misconceptions that we're seeing
one of those
in the
things
chat
is
here.
not like the other.
Our journey to 4.0 is more akin to a journey to 4.x.
Good that Spotify
the things that we're showing you today are not a list of this is what's in 4.0. Some of this will be in 4.0, like the planets and moons of Pyro and stuff like this. Other things will be in 4.1, 4.2, 4.3, and we'll know which as we get closer to development. Anybody that's followed the
Thanks for setting expectations, Jared.
Knows that that's how that's
because or else everyone would have thought this is going to be in for 4.0. So
in the
you
process,
heard it from him.
In the pipeline,
I didn't.
Developed now.
I know all of this is
4.1,
not going to be in
4.2, 4.3, and so forth.
Good God, that pack
and before
would be
we do
massive.
the next one, I want to shout out a couple of the
bugs would be fun.
promotions that are going on. The digital goodies pack is going out there. You get a Finley's plushie. It's not called Finley anymore. It's called Francis. I should look at that beforehand. There's a new jumpsuit that's being given to everybody, and grenade launchers with a cool new skin. That's free to all backers. Just register your account and pick up any one of the pledge packages and whatnot, and that stuff's yours.
Everybody
the
with
Toby
grenade
Eye
launchers.
Tracker contest
Fantastic.
is going on right now. Send us your in-game watch party screenshot for a chance to win. I know there are a number of watch parties going on right now.
Saying, I think he's got a little buzz going on.
Who I saw on Twitter earlier. The JRDF contest, our partners at JR Design and Fabrication, create a ship model using only ordinary and random household objects for a chance to win. They make these models that you see here. The wonderful Star Kitten, a dragonfly. Switch to Ian's camera. I'm gonna put this in there like this. Look at that. Oh, it's not in focus. Hold on. Let me get closer to his face.
Ian's like,
we're gonna do this. No.
Like, yeah.
Look at
like, I don't want to touch this.
In focus. I'm holding it near Ian's face.
What is the facial expression right now?
Ian's like, is this what it's like when Jared goes off script?
Starcitizen models. They have an entire array. You can check it out the website, or you can enter the contest for your chance to win a Carrick, a Freelancer, or a Cyclone. And then don't forget the Halloween promotion is going on right now with scary helmets and pumpkin carving contest. That's always my favorite. I think every single winner we've ever had has been from Texas. I don't know why that is, but they take their pumpkin carving very seriously down there. All right, so we've rambled on enough. Let's throw it to the next presentation. Now, I'm going to set this one up here. I'm going to put this, I'm going to make the audio guy, I was holding it in my hand because I got up. I'm just going to put it there. It's going to be safe. Resource management. What did I want to say about this? Okay. When I backed the project, back in 2013, 2014, before I came here, the thing that excited me most about Starcitizen was the potential for multi-crew gameplay. That positional experience of a captain and a navigator and an engineer and a comms person.
Here you see Jared's passion coming out.
Run down and put out a fire, and something's exploding in the cargo hold. You got to go and you fix the fuses and stuff like this. That multi-crew experience has been what drew me to the project.
Anything that brings him a step closer to the Genesis Starliner.
To do this.
He's all about it.
Spaceship. Did I mention I have a spaceship? I have a spaceship. And if you're like me, on our 10-year journey, I've been wondering when's going to be the day. Where are we at with this stuff? Well, Dan Truffin and Thorsten Lyman are here to talk about the actual working prototypes of the resource management system, the thing that will make true multi-crew gameplay possible, and the last big hurdle to getting those capital ships into the game. So buckle up, eyes forward, and take it away, Dan and Thorsten.
Here we go, boys.
Hi, my name is Dan Truffin. I'm Assistant Director for PU Content, and with Thorsten Lyman here today, we will be talking to you about something we think it will change the way Starcitizen functions and works and how the players will play the game in the future, and that is resource management.
Dan was on the team for mining when it came out, I think.
Resource management is the underlying system that allows items to produce, consume, and store resources in the game. It is the digital representation of real-life cables, pipes, tanks, batteries, or anything like this that you can imagine.
It's the foundation of the ships, where you have certain resources like fuel and energy powering certain items on the ship, but it's also the system that will lie below any station or any vehicle, anything that you can imagine in our universe that actually requires a certain type of resource.
Resource management is not just a system that helps ships function. It is a thing that's integral to the functionality of the entire universe. It will be the way surface outposts function, underground facilities, space stations, landing zones, everything in Starcitizen will function using resource management.
So we will start with the smaller vehicles, and the gameplay for those smaller vehicles way more interesting than what we have right now. And from that, we can move on to like bigger ships, and finally the capital ships will have a real purpose in the world, and where it will have a real meaning that you have the multiple roles inside those ships.
It will drastically increase the time to kill for all vehicles in Starcitizen, and it will encourage people to disable ships rather than destroy.
Pickle my balls, give it to me straight.
Like Siege of Horizon will
they increase the time to kill on all of the ships and vehicles? Is that what you just said?
More with the use of resource management.
Multi-crew will.
Eventually. Absolutely.
I want to see one of our crew members hanging onto the wing of a Sentinel trying to sew that thing back on while we're in flight.
We can suddenly scale.
Hold her steady, goddammit.
What we have right now. And the reasons are that we have more control over the powers of certain platforms there, and we can introduce some interesting gameplay that facilitates these functionalities.
Resource management is going to open up the possibility of player structures, player-owned outposts on planet or stations in space, where the player will have to manage resources, bring in fuel, do repairs. And this will not be something that only caters towards the engineer. This will be something that is valuable for everyone in the world of Starcitizen.
resource management will finally allow
they should be developing systems for both the bases and
homesteads, and actually
the
keep
ships.
that loop engaging and fun.
And really, this is the main thing that makes multi-crew gameplay possible. We envision the players taking on roles like engineer, mechanic, tactical officer. And while you have your engineer trying to maintain all the resources functioning and flowing perfectly and all the items in good operation, you will have mechanics running throughout the ship trying to change fuses, repair various things that have broken down. You will have tactical officers moving shields from one side of the ship to another in order to counter whatever incoming damage you have. Obviously, the pilot is going to be doing his job trying to move the ship out of harm's way. The gunners are going to be taking out enemy incoming fighters or other ships. This is how we envision this entire ecosystem just coming together and providing what we hope is true multi-crew gameplay. And for all of you out there that are waiting for the Idrises and Javelins and want to use these ships, this is the system that is going to make using those ships possible. So all that said, this is a really important system for Starcitizen, but let's dig into the details and see what exactly this is.
So ships and outposts aren't going to be that different. The only, well, they're different, but the key difference is one flies, one doesn't.
Key elements: power, energy, resources, life support, item maintenance.
My thing is like,
relay handling.
Are you going to be able to slot into this position on the ship? Like when you go to the ship,
so let's
you're
start
going to go
with
to a terminal
power,
and
energy,
like, okay,
and
I want to be
resources.
the engineer.
The
And
players
on
can
your helmet,
choose to
displays a
overload
HUD
items in order to
on, like,
get more
okay, well, this is
efficiency out of them
broken.
at
You
the
need to go
risk
here and
of
fix this.
burning them out.
I doubt it's going to get that specific right away.
To save some
resources.
First iteration will probably not be like that, more than likely.
Most likely what it'll be
is
that's the captain's job.
Balance of resources.
He's going to relay. Engineering, we have a relay down
in order to maintain
you
a
go there,
well-oiled and balanced
fix
ship.
broken relay.
And overall,
or those terminals that are at those locations now, if you pull them up, you could probably see like a power schematic map of the ship and be like, all right, well, maybe there would be some indication somewhere like you got to go here to fix this break or something, like, you know.
Atmosphere is
I just want there to be a way to like see what is broken.
And here,
like,
the life support system is the
process
key
of
factor.
elimination.
Here, the life support, you have to maintain it, meaning you have to make sure that the consumables inside the life support generator are always there to make sure that it can generate breathable atmosphere for you. Or
Wait.
The temperature is actually increased to a human livable factor, so you don't freeze to death, or you are not cooked.
Did he just say the life support system is going to have consumables in it?
Will be able to
yeah,
you're going to be able to run out of
items
oxygen
throughout the ship,
yep.
turn them on,
yeah.
turn them off.
It's not going to be a complete generator. Yeah, you're going to have to restock.
Replace them with,
same thing with the medical supplies. They want the same thing for ships that have the med beds and stuff.
Depending on their income, it will be able to control which sub items are installed in those items, either as fuses or subcomponents that give them various bonuses to that specific item. They will be able to run repair gameplay and replace broken fuses when the item stops working or takes enough damage.
Relay handling
capital ships will have a cargo bay of some sort.
The actual
Can you just
management
keep
part
those
that you
things in
as
there
the
for like the crew to
engineer
go
of the
grab?
ship has to,
it would
you have to
be
do there.
probably I would like they'll probably have it like
defining
that
the
more than
circuits
likely,
in the most
but
effective way,
it'd be nice if
especially
there
for
were
bigger
actual
ships.
closets in
So a relay
certain
is
locations that
something that
like
defines
places could draw from.
which
You'd
items
have to
are
keep
connected
those
to each
specific things
other.
stocked besides
And
just a cargo bay.
What we want to achieve here is
like a hopper,
allowing you to create the best possible outcome for your ship.
With access control, we're introducing ship roles. The captain will be able to assign certain roles to each of his crewmates, and for example, say one of the player becomes the engineer, which gives them specific access to certain controls, while the person that is the pilot will not have access to those controls. At the same time, a gunner will only have access to a specific gun or all the guns on the ship.
And finally, gravity. So gravity is the concept that you experienced already in every ship. So there's always a ground, there's always a down, there's always an up. And
we would like to give you some more control over that. So, because it requires some energy, and if you want to run your ship more energy efficient, we want you to allow to switch off gravity. Or there might be other use cases where a zero gravity environment is more useful than another one. So if it wasn't clear by now, the scope of resource management touches pretty much every aspect of life in Starcitizen.
Imagine
So
getting
we're
bored
doing a
and
lot of
you just shut
talking,
off the
but I
gravity.
bet what everyone
that'd be my go-to move. Shut off the gravity. Open up
Turn
the
off the
airlock.
oxygen.
Turn off the oxygen.
Currently, we
and
have
decompress
working
the ship.
in-engine
You're gonna
prototypes
suck them
of
out
the
the ass
following
in, or the airlock like a squeezed
power,
toothpaste tube.
gravity, life support, and the relay network. With a power system, we can overpower and underpower items. We can set the priorities of item producers and consumers inside the ship, and we can set the path of resources inside the ship through the resource relay network. And with a power system, we already can gets the resources they need.
Hopefully this will make the actual power systems that you install in ships matter.
Or the most
Thanks for the follow, that guy.
Or the resources have to take throughout the ship.
Yep, no problem.
We can also demonstrate many aspects of the life support system, including making new players suffocate.
Making new players suffer. Is that what he said?
Suffocate.
Oh.
Yeah, new players suffocate. Venting.
I love it.
That's good shit.
Fire expulsion.
Oh, fire control system.
That's fucking cool. If their stream would stop buffering, it'd be cooler.
Buffering.
Is that showing a box that actually is releasing atmosphere into the room?
Yeah.
Sweet.
That's the life support system. Is it still buffering for everybody else or just me?
Yeah.
Nah, it's buffered up.
Chat. All I see in chat is 30K, 30K, 30K.
Yeah. Oh, it's down.
Oh no.
Jared, this is Jared's fault. Jared said he said it.
Well, they're only streaming to 27,000 people.
That's an average stream size for people like Summit and XQC.
Oh, 33,000.
There we go. It's a race.
There we go.
Venting and filling rooms with atmosphere.
Whoa, hold on. Because they had so many people in that room, the oxygen was going down in that room.
Yeah.
Yes, because the life support systems are rated for certain ships up to a spec.
So fucking cool.
Yeah, so like that's why it says maximum capacity, this amount. That's what the life support system is for.
Yeah, you can't just cram a boatload of people into a Cuddy Black and jump into Jumptown.
Or what it looks like they're letting you able to do is if you want to have more people, you shut off life support to multiple other areas of the ship and only have it routed to one room.
Yeah.
So that maybe more people can actually survive in that one location.
Yeah.
So that
and
guy
then
can lock me in a cabin and stuff.
Yeah, I mean that's not going to happen. But
exactly.
like No, I mean that it makes it interesting, and then you always have the option of throw on your helmet.
Yeah, you've got these engineering type decisions that people are gonna need to make.
So fucking cool.
Get boarded, be that asshole that turns gravity off. Let everybody start floating and moving, then turn it back on. Slam!
Yep.
I mean, that's precisely what I want it for.
Internal sabotage.
Mm-hmm. And the mighty Hall A can attack.
In the last year, we've made tremendous progress with the resource management system, but with a system that is this big and complex, we do not want to rush it. We want to just get it right and get it right from the beginning. So let's talk about what's next for the resource management system. As you can tell, resource management is a huge endeavor for us. So like everything else, we'll probably not get everything in the initial release, but this is what we're aiming for. Interactable and accessible items on ships, relay gameplay, changing fuses on the relays, resource balancing, defining control groups that will be accessible through the MFDs, allowing people to create presets for your resource network for each ship, an engineering UI with at least a list or schematic view of your ships, external engineering screen for ships, allowing engineers to define the tuning parameters that can be accessed by the pilot with the press of a button, like loading presets and creating presets. And after the initial release, everything else will fall into place with subsequent patches.
Yeah, 2 to 3 years.
We started talking about resource management about 2 years ago. It is pretty much the evolution of what used to be the old pipe system, and this has been an interesting journey, and finally we're starting to see the fruits of our labor, and we're starting to see all the possibilities of gameplay that we can open up to the players in the future. It's exciting to work on something that's so central to the world of Starcitizen and that can impact the gameplay of so many people, irrelevant of what they choose to do in the world of Starcitizen. Resource management is the most exciting feature that I've ever worked with. It's such a groundbreaking feature that will change the entire game from its core. I think we never had this opportunity to change the game into this direction where we are heading right now, where we will finally have all the tools in place to actually allow meaningful multi-crew gameplay and meaningful decisions for all the players, where every decision counts. This is the stuff that makes me really proud of what we are working on right now. Thank you for letting us share our progress with you, and we hope you're happy with all this progress, and have a nice CitizenCon.
The ones that are happy with it will be overshadowed by the salty assholes.
This Starcitizen Singapore card is
Yeah, because like I'm super jazzed that they were doing the environmental testing, but if you want to be negative about it, it looked like it's in early development. That's still just kind of playing with it. That wasn't enabled on a ship or anything yet.
And
So it's a
joining us
ways
to
off,
follow up
but
on it
that's
is
something really
Todd
cool that's
Pappy,
coming.
John Crew. Guys, this has been a long time coming. I know we still got a ways to go. I'm not.
Are we going to hear about bed GD formation?
But I mean, how exciting
Pappy
is this?
and Crew sitting next to each other.
This to me brings the interaction that we want in environments, but also on ships. You know, so like you said with the multi-crew stuff, but like again, it's not only going to be in ships. We're also putting in environments.
Yeah, this is what's necessary to have player homesteading. You know, one of the components. It's not the only thing.
But it's about just bringing the interaction into the environment. So the AI will react, the player reacts. You know, like it's having that interaction level that you don't normally get in games. So that's what we're looking for.
Being able to make, imagine Siege of Orison, but being able to actually assault the platforms and depower the platforms. Missions that can take place inside the landing zones where you can cut power to buildings and stuff like this. I mean, this is what really opens the game.
Yeah.
And John, as they said in the segment, the first place this is going to come is ships.
Yeah.
So, what's the first version of this look like?
So first version is going to be a lot of what you saw in that video. So we're working through some of the ships now. Hammerhead, Hulle, Star Runner, just to prove out a few things, because naturally some ships were built a long time ago. Ones in recent times were built with this sort of level of detail in mind. But yeah, you'll have all these components accessible. You'll be able to get to the relays, do all this management. Something really cool in that video was all the fire and gravity and atmosphere stuff. And like you say, it goes from just being a ship you're on board to like an interactive piece of the puzzle that gives you that multi-crew gameplay. You're not just limited to I'm a pilot, I'm a turret gunner, that's about it. Now engineers and support roles are going to have a huge part to play on ships, because things will go wrong. And if you don't get on top of it quickly, it's going to be a very bad time for all involved.
Yeah, I said before we set it up, this is the aspect of Starcitizen that first drew me, in. So it has been I feel like I've been very patient and waiting, really wanting to see this go. And as I see everybody on EUPU and everybody that's contributing to this thing, it's just super exciting to see it really beginning to evolve and really beginning to be used tangibly in our prototypes and stuff like that. And it's just, I think people know I don't generally hype very often. I'm usually the guy that's sitting here, it's like, don't hype, manage your expectations stuff. And you should still do that. I'm not changing my tune. This is the part of the thing that I've been waiting for personally. So I'm excited. All right, so we've ping pong from the visuals to the gameplay, the visuals to the gameplay, the visuals to the gameplay. We've only got one more scheduled presentation left. Ship talk, talking ship.
Here comes the concepts, boys. Get ready for the
celebration
F5
of vehicles new coming to the pipeline, vehicles coming straight to flyable, things, something in the middle. That's going to star John Crew
and Buffer.
and Ben Curtis and Paul Jones, and I'll let them take it away.
Yeah, hopefully they didn't say a ship that's coming straight from flyable, but maybe we'll see something cool.
Hi everyone, my name's John Crew. I'm the vehicle director here at Cloud Imperium Games. This year I'm once again joined by Ben Curtis, vehicle art director, and Paul Jones, concept art director. And this is our yearly Ship Talk panel. Like previous years, we'll be talking about something coming soon, something being announced today, something coming a bit later, and then the fan favourite, the Pick a Ship or Vehicle concept series. To kick things off this year, we're going to be talking about our new concept ship, which is the Crusader Spirit. This is a series of ships from Crusader Industries that is designed to take on a variety of other manufacturers' ships at the two-person
literally as soon as he said it,
level,
it was on the site.
Does a wide variety of tasks depending on which variant you pick.
Oh, those look
nice. The two standout competitors to this ship are naturally the Cutlass and obviously the Cutlass Blue, Red, Steel, and the Freelancer series.
Is this like a Crusader Constellation or Cutlass like?
Sized,
so it looks like
ships to this, and they also
set yourself up for hauling, bombing, and executive travel, and whatever else
Freelancer series.
the
The Spirit benefits from
you get all three variants
not
in one
only
pack.
Crusader Industries' sort of stylish physical appearance, but also their renowned speed and agility over those other variants. We have three variants of the Crusader Spirit. We have the C1, which is the cargo hauler version.
That's awesome.
We have the A1, which is the light to sort of medium bomber version. And then we have the E1, which is the executive VIP transport version.
One of the really nice features of the Spirit series as a whole is the front half of the ship is kind of like this shared area, and it's the rear section that swaps out.
So the C1 is the cargo hauler version. This comes with 48 SCU of cargo capacity in the central area,
Accessible like the other versions via the rear ramp. It's wide enough to allow a variety of ground-based vehicles on board, such as the Cyclone. You won't be fitting larger things in it like the tank, however, with the size of the cargo bay on the C1, you can put a vehicle and still have
That's concept, so...
The A1 is the bomber version of the Spirit, which sort of splits the difference between the Hercules A2's bomber version, which has both size 10 and size 3 bomb options. This comes with size 5 bombs, and they are arranged in 2 vertical gravity dropped formations down each side of the central area. So you have a nice little walkway down the middle, and then you have the 2 sort of lines of bombs each side of you, and you'll be able to see them drop out of the bottom of the ship.
It delivers a different role to what the Starlifter does in terms of the bomber. I think it's a much kind of smaller, faster ship, so it's much more agile. You're going to be kind of getting in and out, and you know, doing your bombing run, and then getting back out of the danger zone quite quickly. So it feels quite familiar in that sense, but it does deliver a unique kind of play style compared to the Starlifter.
So you might be asking yourself which one's better, and an E1? It really depends on what you want to wipe off the face of the planet that you're bombing. Obviously, the A2 has both heavy hitters and what could be described as carpet bombing, whereas this is sort of for when you don't want to completely annihilate everything on the ground. And lastly, we have the E1 variant, which solely exists to give Jared heartburn over his Starliner. So this is a sort of taste of what the Starliner will get in the future, but on a much smaller scale.
VIP 1 is a really interesting module. It's basically split into 2.
That's a concierge E1 looks.
So,
I like that paint on
really
it.
Wanted to sort of have that VIP experience. Obviously,
I wish you could buy it without being Warbond.
Ship, but when you get into the module, you've got lockers, space to put any sort of personal
I bought all 3.
Essentially, you're going to 2 elevators, left or right, to take you up to the top deck. So
and you just said you bought all 3 of those.
First class feeling.
What did you get, Ader?
Really
I just got all 3 of them.
Makes the E1 stand out compared to some other ships.
Where are they?
The large panoramic glass
on the store.
So when you're in this kind of shared VIP area, you're gonna have great views and be able to kind of
that guy, your mic is back on the motherfucker.
In something that I think is going to be quite unique.
And we also have
I forgot to toggle mute after I restarted.
Front of the module, which is basically where players can go and choose whatever the drink it is. So it's cocktails or coffee. And then players will also have super comfy seats. They'll have the widescreen TV in the module.
I'm really excited to see when we start getting our players and our AIs into these ships and being able to kind of explore the verse and experience that kind of luxury living that I've not yet to experience.
So between the 3 variants, there are a number of shared areas. The sort of core of the ship changes with each variant, but there are some aspects which don't need to change. And starting from the front of the ship, you naturally have the cockpit or the bridge. So like other Crusader ships, you have the side-by-side pilots.
Seems bigger than a Cutlass.
Then you have behind them the living quarters / bunk area and component access. And then you have the variant section which does change the sort of internal floor plan of the ships between them. Then at the rear of the ship, you naturally have the ramp access.
Oh yeah, I see that in chat. Some people are like, "This is the Crusader Normandy from fucking Mass Effect."
Yeah, I'm a sucker for anything Mass Effect.
The very start of our vehicle production pipeline to something nearing the end of the pipeline. Let's talk about the Drake Corsair next. The Drake Corsair is an important ship in their lineup because it fills that multi-crew exploration gap
Corsair.
in their lineup. We've seen a lot of Drake ships.
Yeah, you should have seen how quick I turned around.
Usage and roles, such as the Buccaneer and Cutlass. In this size class, you naturally have the Constellation, the 600i is the competitors, and what Drake brings is its usual rugged, overwhelming amount of firepower for its size, sort of classification to that entry.
It's Drake's dedicated exploration ship. It's a kind of a medium, deep space vessel, effectively. It's got crew for up to 4, or space for up to 4 crew. It's got
These new Crusader ships are cheaper than the Mantis.
And
and it's kind of got everything that you need to really spend a decent amount of time away from civilization, away from stations, and just kind of being able to chart out those deep areas of space. It brings that sort of no nonsense, no frills approach to the ship, and you know if something's going to go wrong, it's going to be something that you more than likely can fix, and it's not going to be something that you have to cut back to a main dealer to get serviced and fixed. It's something that hopefully you and your crew will be able to get there and get back up and running. Excuse me. Just fix with some duct tape.
So fans, when they see the ship, will immediately see the sort of heritage, the DNA that's running through the spirit. So
wasn't it just on the store?
You can kind of almost imagine how the ship is built. On the store. It's got that military, easy fix.
Since Invictus?
It's loaded with guns.
I thought for some reason I thought they put it on the store during that other free fly they had.
Mechanisms inside it, so I think the players will really dig that.
I think what's quite unique to the Corsair is its wings, the way they fold up. This isn't done purely for style. Being Drake is more there for function. It allows you to get in and out of the hangars much easier. We put quite a lot of effort into keeping that really iconic exterior kind of silhouette and
very Imperial shuttle-like,
but still making it functional and making sure it works. At the moment, we're just kind of finishing up the final art. Most of the exterior has had the majority of it. It's,
I'm gonna wait for everything to drop and then I'll just figure out.
We've still got lighting to do.
Where did you see those new Crusader ships in the store?
On extras, went to extra, and then standalone ships.
So I'm really excited to be able to show you.
So let's take a look inside the ship, and once again we'll go front to back.
E1 with
on the inside of the ship, we start
that looks good, dude. I like that.
I'm buying that ship by itself, and then I'm gonna buy the other two as non-war bonds.
Sat right up front, and then kind of classic kind of.
Because you can get the whole collection.
The co-pilot gets in the seat behind them and actually sinks down.
370.
That transition from the main
with the paints.
Co-pilot.
All the concierge paints.
You move right forward and you're sat pretty much underneath where the pilot is. It gives great visibility for both the pilot and the co-pilot. The other nice thing about this cockpit
extras,
is packs. These massive guns that
or just click extras all and then sort by highest price.
A nice place to be. In the rear of the cockpit, we've got the captain's quarters. So the captain's quarters is actually pretty much identical to the rest of the quarters in the ship in terms of its kind of size and its amenities. As you move back through the ship, there's I guess a small kind of crossroads directly behind the bridge.
Their ship, their site is having an issue.
Or to either side,
I can't go to my card anymore.
So it's right really at the kind of like the neck of the ship, effectively.
The side turrets have changed a little since the concept phase. They now have a greater range of motion in.
You can add the paints separately in checkout. You don't need to buy the
45 degrees
war bond
each way. You're now looking at
don't buy the war bond. You can buy the separate paint when you go to checkout.
Especially forward firing, which again the Corsair has
per paint job.
So many guns pointing forwards. Having extra 2 turrets is very, very Drake.
In habitation, we've got you've got the remaining 3 crew quarters that, being Drake, they are no frills. You've got a bed. You've got somewhere to store your gear, and that's pretty much it. The main habitation area, though, is
cushion on it.
If anything, quite luxurious for a Drake ship, in that there's a decent sized space. You've got your bathroom, which is no frills. It's got a shower, it's got a toilet, whatever.
Which one's
You've got
the bomber?
the
A1
line for all your food and everything you need to survive. And then right in the heart of the
they basically took it like the C series,
area,
the Hercules series.
Seating area, and that's not just for the crew to have their meals. It's for somewhere that you can plan operations, plan your next move, and really decide where you're taking your adventure. As we move back from habitation, we start to get into like the rear half of the ship. I think if the habitation area is like the heart of the crew in the ship, then the engineering area is the real heart of the ship itself.
It's sort of this octagonal, hexagonal space with a few little rooms coming off it to cram components in. And off one of those you have the side airlock, which again has suit lockers and weapon lockers in there for before you go into EVA or docking or coming back out of before you enter the rest of the ship.
And then you've also got the lift, and the lift not only goes down to ground level, but it also takes you up to the roof of the ship. So if you do want to go on a quick spacewalk, or you need to go and repair something on the exterior,
then you've got kind of easy access straight up the lift and out you go.
Levers.
And finally, at the rear, you have
yes.
the cargo hold.
I like
which
those
has
levers.
Space for a rover,
I love them.
size vehicles and down, along with a significant cargo capacity.
And being a Drake ship, there's a huge ramp on the back of it. All the mechanics are exposed. You can really see the workings of how the ship actually operates. If you're a fan of Drake, it certainly ticks all those boxes.
So for the
A1,
you get a freelancer
cool
miss.
I love the styling
for
of
the
it.
E1, your loaner's a cutlass steel.
Wing arrangement of it. I think it's just going to be a great fun
fun
addition to the game, giving those sort of players who enjoy that.
Yeah, they're not
going
to give you an origin loaner for an executive ship. Come on.
And you'll be able to experience that yourselves at IE this year. And a vehicle coming later today, a vehicle that's at the end of the pipeline, we have the Greycat STV.
This got leaked already.
So the recovery vehicle?
Racing is a cool and fun aspect of Starcitizen, and it's something that we've seen that backers really enjoy doing.
It's like a Greycat Steve.
That we really want to help support from within CIG.
It's a fucking cyclone.
So we wanted to bring a new vehicle to the verse, which is where the STV came from.
So the STV is the Greycat sports terrain vehicle. It builds on what they learned from the
The
PTV,
Cyclone with a spare tire on the
out
back
of
of it.
the
That
hangars,
does
off of the
fucking
tarmac
nothing.
and onto much more rugged terrain.
It's a four-wheeler, two-person open-topped, sport styling, everything you need to razz around on the planets. So the STV is actually part of a
Greycat wanted to be one of the cool kids too. They wanted to
recognize the resemblance in the name to the Greycat PTV,
off-road
which is
vehicle
also
besides their
part
golf
of that
cart.
family. And we also have a third vehicle lined up that we want to do in the future called the UTV, which is the utility terrain vehicle. And
Great,
we
it's a
actually
John Deere Duke.
reconcepted the PTV, and we have the concept for the UTV.
Is it going to be as gutless as the actual John Deere?
When you see all three side by side, you'll see that family resemblance.
The interior again is similar design language, simple layout, easy to clean. That was a big
there's
thing
a bunch
for
of
us,
different ones.
even though we don't have like a cleaning mechanic. All this sort of builds into
Yeah, but the STV is the only one getting released later today.
Floors have got drill holes in them, so it can easily let water through. The seats are easily removable, so you can actually see the bolts where you can just quickly whip them out. And so all of this thinking goes into those kind of vehicles. The wheels are a big feature, large sort of rubber mud guards. Just there's lots of subtleties in terms of the roll cage, the sort of cross section of all these things. Maybe people wouldn't notice, but for us, these are all part of making a manufacturer consistent.
So the STV delivers that gameplay that is you and a buddy out exploring over our planets. We've got these vast ships that you can explore deep space and
He
go
says
off
that like the
with
Cyclone
big
doesn't
molecules.
already
What this really
exist.
allows you to do is get down on
Yeah, Cyclone's a different manufacturer. That's Tumbrel.
and go exploring on the ground.
This is Greycat,
It's
man.
not
Greycat.
just a vehicle for you and a friend. It's also got kind of some cargo space in the back. So if you are out there doing missions,
like
rather
the
than having to
Honda
fly
or
your ships
Acura
directly to where the mission is,
PTV vehicle.
it allows you to land slightly out there, slightly in a safer area. You still got space to load up.
I like the
with
gun
weapons,
rack.
Load up with your whatever mission items you need, and get in and out nice and quick.
Compared to the Cyclone RC, which is a sort
Got
of
a front.
racing variant of a non-racing vehicle, the STV was built from the ground up to be a good racing vehicle. It has a good chassis, it has better handling, it has better top speed, and that what makes it a compelling racing choice.
The best things about Starcitizen as a whole is it kind of brings a lot of gameplay, and it's not all about combat. It's not all about flying these massive ships. And I think one of the things that a lot of us are excited internally about is racing within our game. A lot of us come from a racing background in terms of the games we've developed before. A lot of us are petrol heads at heart. So I think being able to build on that kind of gameplay in Starcitizen is super exciting for us.
And if you stick around to the end of the broadcast, you'll get your first chance at seeing the STV in action in a race organised by Atmo Esports, creators of the Daymar Rally, where you'll see it taking on the terrain for the first time. You'll be able to pick one of these vehicles up today at the end of the broadcast. And finally, the most important aspect of these inaugural shows, the Pick a Ship concept challenge thing. For those of you that have seen previous years, you will have seen that we've thrown up some silhouettes of potential ship and vehicle options and asked for your feedback on which one we should actually make the wise, and the wise among you have probably realised that we end up making pretty much all of them anyway. So instead of just doing that again and pretending that we're not going to do that, we thought we'd do something slightly different this year and just have a single ship option. And the choice is actually the manufacturer and the styling of that ship. So we want to do a nice, large civilian mining ship that bridges the gap between the Argo Mole and the RSI Orion, because if you know those two ships, there is quite a gulf of space in between them. We wanted to fill that gap with a
now you have my attention.
Stepping stone before you jump into the big RSI Orion, which the scale of its mining is nothing like any other mining ship in the game. The Mole is the current mining system, just lots of it. So with this larger ship, increase that and also provide onboard space for our ground mining vehicles such as the Rock and the Rock DS, which allows you the flexibility of taking on any mining situation that you can come across. So with that, we have three choices, which are basically the manufacturers. We have RSI as the first choice. So obviously RSI do the Orion, so this would be a smaller vehicle in that family. We have Argo, again, we have the Mole, so naturally it could be a larger step up from that. And then we have MISC, the third option. Obviously MISC do the Prospector, so again, keeping it all within the same family. As you can see from these images, they each have their sort of own unique styling take on that pitch that I've just given you. At the end of this Ship Talk panel, Jared will come on and explain how you get to vote on these three options. And that's the end of Talking Ship. So
Argo.
Over to you, Jared.
Argo.
I don't know. I kind of want to see another RSI mining ship.
All right. So the Crusader Spirit is available now as a concept promotion on the RobertSpaceIndustries.com website. The STV is coming to the the universe at the end of the broadcast, just in time for the Atmo Esports racing event that's happening after this. And the Corsair will be making its way to you at this year's Intergalactic Aerospace Expo. And to vote on this year's John Cruise Pick a Ship Challenge thingy, I think he called it. There is a comlink on the RobertSpaceIndustries.com website where you can go and vote on the manufacturer for the next big mining ship. So, John, recently you went through and just nuked all the speeds of all the ground vehicles, and obviously you did that so that the STB could be the fastest.
That's certainly one take on on what happened. To talk about it a bit more in depth, it was actually planned for quite some time. As we know, game development timelines go all over the place. So we'd actually done this for 318 Ivocati, which sadly did not come out before 317.3 went live. So we did that because, quite frankly, a lot of those vehicles were ludicrous speeds, like 55 meters a second is like over 120 miles an hour off-road.
Yeah, off-road.
Off-road, 120 miles an hour is terrifying, especially on like Starcitizen planets with rocks that would just kill you. So we wanted to bring the cyclones down. We wanted to sort of rebalance everything. Not everything has gone as intended. Like the rocks and the Ursas are not quite where they should be. So we will go back and do more changes. But the idea was people would get to see it in 318. So it wouldn't be such a surprise in 317.3, which unfortunately is how it turned out.
But as far as the new ships go, the Spirit looks amazing.
Yes.
Like, when you say, I gotta ask you, when you say this is a small taste of what players can expect for the Starliner, which anybody should know is my favorite ship, that's still not out yet, John.
His little taste, what?
When you say little taste, what does that mean? I'm asking for me, not for these people. I'm asking for me. What does that mean?
So obviously the Starline is quite an old concept. We didn't really do a huge amount of interior look development, so the time we spent on the Spirit E1, the E1 Spirit, is really what we're going to build on for that. So you're going to have like that VIP first class pod enclosure. Mixmaster, the most important feature of the Starliner.
I have no idea how that's going to work.
Ask Tony, it'll be fine. Yeah, that sort of feel, that luxury transport feel is something we haven't really shown in Starcitizen. Every man and their donkey was pestering me for that Horizon Shuttle concept, and we had planned to do like a Crusader Cutlass.
Everybody's voting RSI,
which is its like internal working name.
Oh, are they?
Hey, because it got abbreviated like the 3 Cs.
Yay!
Just called it the ship the 3 Cs the entire time. And then there was that sort of vocal uprising about, hey, John Crew, give me that Horizon shuttle, and that sort of the two things merged together, and that's where it came from.
And then the Grey Cat STV, which will be our straight to drivable vehicle, going live on the website and stuff at the end of this broadcast. That's an exciting push in the Grey Cat in the Grey Cat arena. It looks sporty as heck.
Yeah, fuck Mist. No, don't give
it was neat to see a sneak peek of the UTV as well, which I'm assuming is going to come sometime later.
I'd be fine with RSI or Argo, just
now,
not Mist.
But when we decided to do the STV, we're like, let's spend the time. Let's work out what Grey Cat as a manufacturer looks like and feels like, because we had the PTV. People have seen the big Spider Minor from back in the day. They're two very different things. There wasn't really like a family lineage, so we built that family lineage around that, and we're like, here's the reworked PTV. Still looks how everyone recognises it, but it sort of works with modern mechanics. Let's do a sporty version. Let's do a utility version, and so we've got those three together now. That you can really see like the family lineup, and they each do slightly different things, which is cool. But yeah, the STV is that beach buggy, dune buggy thing to just razz around.
No, it's really cool. I really like the styling of it. So, if you, we've got one small thing left, and then one rather large surprise left. So, the small thing first, and then we get there. During last year's CitizenCon presentation, we explored a lot of the outlaw lifestyle, their outposts, the space stations and stuff. We thought we'd do a little sizzle to follow up on how those things have evolved in the year since. So get ready, we're going to show a quick sizzle, and when we get back, there'll be a neat surprise. So stay tuned.
I don't like.
It's going to be Theaters of War.
Oh, you think so?
I'm just curious. I'm wondering if it will be.
Well, I bought all 3 of the spirits with all the paints.
Congratulations.
I have no use for the cargo spirit.
I think it'll be good for rock mining. Or small vehicle transport.
A little rock.
It could, yeah. It could be very nice replacement to the Cuddy Black for rock mining. Yeah. I'd be surprised if a rock wouldn't be able to fit in it. I mean, the hangar looked pretty big.
What are we looking at here?
I think it's manned bandit bases. This is something I've been talking about with these guys for a while. What I'd like to see happen is more than just the one space station. I want like a bandit presence around the system.
Makes me sound like I'm about to get mugged and a superhero's gonna come save the day.
Yeah, I feel like I'm in a Halo start menu.
Yeah.
Oh, is this the ruined station in Pyro?
I think so. And it looked pretty big. Did you see that javelin floating above it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
lifestyle, a glimpse at how the outposts and the space stations have evolved since we saw them at last year's CitizenCon 2951. Now, if you've been following our program today, you might think this is it. We're near the end, but we've got one more special surprise in store. Joining us on the show today are two people who probably need no introduction, but we're going to do it anyway. Founder and CEO, Mr. Chris Roberts.
Hello, everyone. How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing good, Jared.
Welcome to the spaceship. Welcome back to the spaceship. You opened the show today. And Squadron 42.
Steve one's got a tractor beam on it.
Wait, that's a Squadron 42 guy.
Yeah, this is your first time on the spaceship.
It is.
It is.
What you think?
I think it's very nice.
Very really how I'm just gonna ask everybody how it thinks all day. So Chris, Rich, you're here. Are we gonna talk a little bit about Squadron 42? Is that what we're doing right now?
Well, yes and no. So both me and Rich have been heads down working really hard on Squadron as well as helping out on the PU. And one thing that we've thought...
Comlink. Go to the main site, scroll down, go to Comlink. It'll be the first thing on the Comlink.
On Squadron that is going to make a massive difference to Starcitizen, the PU. And we wanted maybe to talk about some of the things that we're doing, because I know a lot of people say, well, everyone's working on Squadron, no one's working on the PU, and that's not really true, because a huge amount of the core gameplay that we're working on Squadron is specifically being built not just for Squadron, but to benefit the PU, and we're just doing it in sort of the test kitchen of Squadron to allow us to really, polish and make sure the features work well without having to be caught up in the sort of quarterly release cycle that you have on the PU, because we're finding it was hard for us to really finish the features out. You know, we'd get a tier 0 out, and then it would just sort of sit around for a while because everyone was rushing on to the next set of features they wanted to do. And for Squadron, obviously, it's shipping as a final polished AAA title, so everything needs to be really put together, working really well, and playing great. And so we're trying in the setup that we're doing now to do that for the features that we've identified that we need to make sure works really well for Squadron, but also will play across into the PU. And so we thought it would be really useful to come by and tell you all about some of the subtle things and the gameplay aspects that we're working on that maybe you haven't heard from Todd or Tony or everyone else that
now for you
in
Warp,
today and
during
the ISCs, because we sort of try to keep
4 years
stuff close to our chest
PU or
to really sort of surprise,
take everything that comes out of this
people
man's mouth as a fucking grain of salt.
I'm kind of just more or less forgetting he's speaking right now.
Show you a sneak peek of something here and there, and not everything, because we're trying to keep it close to our chest until it's really ready to let the baby out of the carriage and it's beautifully dressed and all the rest of it. Hopefully
every
give
board
you guys
member is sweating
insight
bullets
to what's
right now.
happening, and also understand that a huge amount of the development resources, even if you think they're working on Squadron, are ultimately working on stuff that will be in the persistent universe.
So let's talk a little bit more about that before we jump into the actual features. This co-development has been part of the process since the project was first introduced 10 years ago. Congratulations on 10 years, by the way. Rich, talk to me a little bit about this co-development. You started with the PU, and then you've now gone over to the Squadron 42. So you've worked in both. You've worked in both environments. You know the struggle of T0. Features and the quarterly releases for the PU, and now you're getting to kind of, your experience is different on Squadron. Talk to me about how that's changed and how it's still worked for one, still benefits the other, or will ultimately.
Well, when I worked on the PU, it wasn't really the PU or Squadron. It was always, we were working on features that pushed for both projects. So the focus when we were on the PU, or when we were more PU focused, was that we would make sure that we were getting features up and running, developed to the specifications that we needed them to work in a multiplayer environment, and then getting them out into the audience's hands, on quarterly releases. But the biggest issue, I think, if you've been, if you've seen me doing talks on SC Live over the years, or even in some of our retrospectives, is that we'd get features, and the way that our, CIG is set up is we have feature teams and we have content teams. So what would happen is we'd develop a feature and then we'd push it to the live audience to get feedback around that feature, but there would almost be a lag with the importance of that feature and turning that from a singular thing into an experience, a gameplay experience that you'd go and enjoy and play as a part of a fun game. So we always had this lag where content teams were then trying to get on top and then use the feature, and we were trying to change the feature. So I think this kind of pulled it back a bit, allowed us to really focus on both the content and the feature at the same time, because it allowed us to bring it as under one umbrella, which is Squadron 42. So we were able to get that feature in the game, not as a T0, but as a fully whole, capable gameplay experience that, you know, myself, Chris, we can play and enjoy it and go, is this right? Do we need to make it better? How does it feel? And also prove that out with the content that we want. So once we then developed that and honed it and, you know, almost cast it in that iron, in the crucible kind of thing, we can then move it into the PU, and ultimately it's not that they're going to get features later, because they would have had them probably earlier, but just not ready. Or, you know, I can pick a few features right now where you think, well, there's not really a huge purpose for them. Mounted guns is a good example. It's not really a huge purpose for them in the PU right now, but we're making sure that any feature that we work on has that purpose. So when it does go into the PU, you know, into the game, people can use it and experience it how we wanted it to be designed and how we wanted it to be, you know, because we struggle a few times. Say, for example, actor status is a good example. We have this vision of how it sits across this broad spectrum of the game, but we're having to piecemeal it in. And that never really gives you the true intentions of where we want to go. And I think this allows us to do that in Squadron, really hone it down and then give it to the PU audience. And I think that, you know, fundamentally it's better for the development of the features.
I don't know what the fuck this guy's talking about. I'm like,
I normally speak to developers, and I have no clue where the fuck he's at.
Before we were developing the sort of features in isolation, and then they sort of went into try to get used in Squadron and try to get used in the PU, but they weren't really.
Basically, what it sounds like. Hang on.
And so that's the reason why we sort of pulled back some of the stuff and working on.
Basically, what he's saying is they're trying to get everybody to understand that just because they've got a big portion of their resources devoted to Squadron 42 right now, a big portion of those features will translate directly to the PU, but they're saying it in the longest form possible response they can.
There's a whole process of publishing and splitting off the streams, and so there's a huge amount of effort and work every
filler, nerd speak, filler, feel good.
Feature, and so pulling it out of that sort of loop and saying, okay, we're going to work with it in Squadron to really make it polished. So it's like not a T0 version. We've really got it down. It feels good. We like playing it. This is fun. This is challenging. It feels good. Is the benefit I think that's happening with us on Squadron. When we're seeing it on our side, I know it can be a bit frustrating for everyone on the other side because we're sort of telling you, oh yeah, it's going to be much better than you've got right now. But we are very aware of a lot of, say, usability issues, you know, user experience issues that we are addressing right now in Squadron, specifically for both Squadron and the PU. That's gonna, and we'll show you a couple of little things that will help with that today. But essentially, if you think of core gameplay in terms of, you know, we have some core areas what we call the, you know, the sort of the actor system, which would be the FPS, the you know, players moving around on foot, you know, interacting with things, the vehicle stuff, which, you know, like John Crew heads up. But
so confused right now.
Vehicle system,
yes,
and you know, you've already seen some presentations today on things that are very specific to vehicles.
I feel like
you know, like
I'm watching a filibuster for like
also the resource network, which is going to first roll out in vehicles, but
like we're just being gaslit right now or something. I don't know.
You know, all those are sort of core gameplay systems that we have, and so what's happening now is
Willie knows
these systems and really just
that was actually
making them work well.
Oh, was it? Was it?
For Squadron, and then bam, they're going to come across into the PU. You know, another good example, which hasn't been talked today very much by the on the, you know, the vehicle side of the Need for Speed, but you probably saw, you know, in the different.
Yeah, this is a very corporate response, and I'm not digging it.
More stuff on the hood, and you know, we've got a whole redesign.
Well, public speaking hasn't always been Chris's forte.
It's going to be very different than.
Apparently, it's not the other guys either.
Using universal building blocks instead of, you know.
I have a feeling that he's being limited in what he can say, though.
Minimalist,
like the other guy. I mean, not Chris. Chris is, you know, he's.
You know, depending on what equipment you have, you may cast some stuff to your
Chris just spews shit.
And we're building this system to work well in all the ships used in Squadron, and then it will get rolled out to the PU, which is obviously.
Speaking of the,
but as we're designing
the
it,
two, they're actually being
both Squadron and the PU
calm and quiet right now.
So there's a lot of things. People have talked about the star map forever, or so that has definitely been a major. I mean, there's right now I think 3 engineers.
Mine don't do that. They
a couple of visualists on it that we're really sort of working.
Tate's been getting a little fed up with Willie shit here lately.
Which people haven't had.
The other day, Willie wouldn't lay down in bed, and Tate just stood up and laid all 80 pounds of his ass on top of him until he stopped moving.
Experience, but all of it, so navigation, traversal, combat,
older
the whole
dog is
field of it,
getting
all
tired
things
of
are
my
really
puppy.
focusing on
And
here.
I actually got a good piece of
to bring across
last
into
night.
the PU
Got a
after,
chunk out of his back.
we've got it working really well in
the puppy was trying
Squadron.
to play, but
I think
the older dog was trying
ultimately
to
it's going to be good for the PU, and a lot of things are going to sort of come together over the next couple of years. We're pretty excited. So we wanted to visit you and talk a little bit about it.
I think there is 2 common themes that I think you'll see throughout the entirety of this talk as well.
For years?
One is the fact that it's how we develop the features. That everybody looks at individual features, has got the microscope of that specific feature, but it's how they all interact together to create the game. So it's about bringing them all together to create that gameplay experience. And number 2 is that none of these are like, oh, we're going to get to this in however time, and we're going to work on that. All of the stuff that we'll talk about today is stuff that we're actively working on, and not in the inception, but we have in our hands. We can play it, we can see it, we're feedbacking on it. So it's something that we're fairly advanced along, and so hopefully we'll be able to pull back the curtain a little bit.
Yeah, that's some of the things that we're going to talk about, and I think we're about ready to start getting into it here. Some of the things will have aspects to show. Some things won't have aspects to show, like the star map, like Chris just said and whatnot. Some of the things will be presented in test maps because we don't want to give away any Squadron 42 specific locations and stuff like that. That said, I think we can maybe show some stuff in Osceola because people have
we already showed one location.
Yeah. So you guys ready to listen to preamble?
Let's go.
Let's start with.
Okay, here we go.
Rich, you were the AFT guy. Now you're the whole Squadron game guy. But let's start with something that affects everybody. This is a first-person universe, after all. Let's talk about the FPS radar and the player interaction system stuff. What can you tell us about how this has evolved?
That's interesting because we obviously, I think I've given a talk on FPS radar and scanning in the past, and I think the biggest thing that when we look at what Starcitizen is now, what's the first thing that you do? You in your bed. How do you interact with the game? How do you interact with the environment that's around you? Doors, getting into your ship. How do you interact with kiosks? And a lot of the thing that we realised is that and it's not something new. It's just something we've always wanted to get to. Is how does the player interface with the game? How do they translate their controls and what they want them to do? Ultimately in the universe that they're playing. And how does that then translate in the computer game so that it does what you expect it to do? And I think one of the biggest things was the player interaction experience, where we kind of use this terminology to understand that's like interact mode, personal inner thought, the player interaction system, all of these umbrella systems that kind of sit underneath this main kind of like saga, shall we say. And I think that's one of the things that we really want to improve and make better, because I think it's lacking right now. If you go and walk around the universe, generally having to go into interact mode, having to use the cursor, having to select things, and we spent a lot of time trying to make the world physical and feel right and immersed, that you're immersed in it.
Well, you can interact with things, like the props are interactable.
Exactly.
You can do things, you can push things around, you can move them. I mean, the whole goal is to make it a sort of physically living universe.
Exactly.
That you can interact with to a level that in most FPS games you don't, right? Because most FPS games you run around, you shoot things, maybe you pick up a gun that gets dropped, but most everything's static. And so our goal definitely for the PU is one of the reasons why we're doing the persistent, the whole idea of persistent streaming and later on the server meshing is to have this fully persistent universe that, you can push the chairs around, or that cup I could take off your desk and take it to my spaceship instead of your spaceship, Jared. and it will be there, and it'll persist. So obviously interacting with things is a huge deal. In Squadron, we have a huge amount of physical puzzles, interactions, in a level that I haven't seen in a lot of FPS games. So It's almost like a sort of story game and a puzzle game and a traversal game and a combat game and a stealth game and a flight game all rolled into one. And so we need systems that are easy to use. And currently what we have, ideas were good, but it's pretty clunky. So we've been really focusing on it because also we want you to be able, keyboard, mouse. What if you joystick? What if you have a gamepad? We need to make sure all that stuff works well. So we don't want to have 400 key presses you have to remember to do stuff, and we don't want it to take forever to interact and do stuff. And so we've really been thinking about it. Those are, by the way, have been large complaints on the PU, just getting in. New person getting into the game, like, how do I get out of bed? How do I do some basic stuff? How do I understand? Right now it's sort of trial by fire. I mean, I think, there's a lot of people, it's almost like, I don't know whether it's a From Software thing where it's like, oh, I managed to beat the challenge of Starcitizen and I actually got to my ship. But we need to make that better, and so that is actually one of the big things we've been focusing on, and the player interaction system. And by the way, these have been plans that have been around for quite a while. Absolutely. And Rich, back when he was in charge of sort of the core gameplay group, which was the AFT and the weapon teams and the actor tech team and stuff, that was on the list of things to do. It just, because of what we talked about, the release cadence in Starcitizen on the alpha, it just, didn't get to it yet. Well, we're getting to it now, and we're working on it. So
I mean, part of it is basically removing the barrier. So removing the clunkiness, as Chris said, to
someone needs to
interact with it.
Shut their microphones off and just show us the damn footage already.
We've gone to kind of this weighted system. So if you're walking over to a trolley, you shouldn't have to look exactly at the handle to be able to go, oh, I want to use the trolley. You just want to be able to go over there, and the game, you go, I want to interact with the trolley. You just press F, and the game should know, yeah, they want to interact with the trolley. So if I'm looking at your desk, for example, you've got quite a lot of things that I could pick up and take and do whatever I want. But you want to be able to just walk over there and not have to go into a mouse cursor mode to be able to then select it. And you should just be able to go, I want to look at the green ship. I'm going to pick up the green ship. I want to look at, your little mini ship over there, or the book, or your coffee cup, or whatever. And you just want to be able to go and look at those things. It's one of the fundamental things on the player interaction experience, and that's such a pervasive system across the entirety, because it's the same when you're in a cockpit. Or you're walking around, or you're in EVA, or you're crouched, or you're prone, or all the different environments that you're in. You need to be able to just effortlessly interact with the game world, and you want it to just feel natural and immersed, because you want to get involved in what you're doing in the gameplay, not have to fight the controls. And then on the other side of things, which is FPS radar scanning, it's actually kind of being split into kind of a twofold. The first area is kind of what we're calling kind of like a quick scan. This is something that, again, if you think of the Starcitizen universe, it's very detailed. That's one of our strengths, that we're detail at scale. And so you want to be able to go in and understand all the individual pieces, that you can go in and go, I want to move that thing, or I want to go and get in a giant ship. But sometimes it's quite difficult to realise, okay, what is environment, or what is interactive, or which bits are relevant to me. For example, if you look at Uncharted, they have, painted areas to show you where you need to go and where you need to navigate. But, that's not Starcitizen. Starcitizen is built on realism and the reality of the world. So what we want to do is have kind of like the radar and scanning system, where you can do this kind of like quick ping or quick scan wave, single button, and that is kind of just for your local environment, and everything will then be tagged as you look at it. So kind of think, I look at the camera, it'll come out, just quickly look around, be like, oh, there's a cuttable surface there because I want to be able to use my multi-tool cutter. Oh, there's a vent there that I can get access to. Oh, there's a terminal there that I can hack. And I'm getting that information. It's almost like that Blade Runner-esque. I go into a space and I can go, okay, what are the ingredients that I have to play with as a player for me to be able to progress to the next area? And then we've got the other side of things, which is radar and scanning, which is what we're calling like a charged scan wave, where it's the same system, you're holding down the scan button, and that's pinging out across wider areas. And that's where you're looking at, individuals, you're getting, okay, there's two guys over there, what's their details? Oh, there's an NPC over there. Okay, I can see an objective that I need to complete. And that's a bit more, because that's more gameplay pervasive. That's something that's going to be more of a risk reward. So that's like, okay, I'm giving my location away, but they're also, so they may or may not, know that they've been scanned. If it's a player, they absolutely will be. So we have this kind of usability aspect for radon scanning, for people to be able to go in and understand. I think there's been plenty of Reddit posts over the years of people go, oh, I wish scanning, radon scanner would do this and show me little info boxes. And yeah, we have that up and running. So there's that aspect of it which kind of ties in with the player interaction experience of how you play the game and how do you understand what you need to do. And then there's the other side of things, which is then it's a more of a proactive tool of you looking through the environment and finding what you want.
We have a couple of videos. Should we show?
Yeah, absolutely.
Oh, thank God.
So we have 2 videos. What's this first one we're going to look at?
So the first one is more kind of showing what I described with radon scanning, that first aspect. So you're going into a space, you're doing a quick scan wave, and then it's quickly showing you up the little bits that you can interact with.
All right, let's take a look at FPS radar and Pi 1.
So you can see here, this is in Asiado, which we've already showcased. This is obviously going in and utilising some of our new building blocks UI for the doors. And then here's a scan wave, and you can see that I'm looking at that data pad.
Oh, that's fucking cool.
Around, and it's giving me that information. So right now, it's just giving you the basic high-level information in terms of the names and things. But you will also have more detailed information depending on, contextually what the item is. And what you're seeing here is part of the player interaction system. So you can just, even though that's kind of a complex area, there's lots of little things that you can interact with. But you're getting confidence of, oh, cool, I can grab that, or I can use the data pad. And you're not having to go into interact mode, you're not having to be driven by the cursor. You can go in and just press F or interact with it. And you've probably seen this in plenty of AAA games, but they don't have the detail and scale that we do. So we wanted to make sure that system is really robust. But hopefully it gives you kind of an idea of.
And I'd also say that part of the idea is that there's the default action, which in this case is what you see when you're on it, where it says grab or I think there's a few other ones that you can use as default action. But the icon, you just had a single disk with that wasn't broken, then that would mean there's only one thing you can do with it. In a lot of those cases, you could see there was a broken disk in 4 pieces, which was basically saying that's a multi-action. So as you look at it, if, for instance, in that case, if you hit F, it does a default action. If you held F, it would bring up the modular wheel that would show you the other actions. So you could maybe equip it versus grab it or whatever you would do. And so the idea is just like you can do it Rich was talking about a lot of other sort of AAA, even console games. You walk around, you look around, oh look, I can do something with it, right? So there's a bit of that's happening here. So you can just look around and I can interact without having to hold F, move your mouse around and all the rest of stuff. I mean, we'll still have the overall interact mode that you can go into if you want, but the idea is I just play around if I'm used to playing games a certain way. So there is a certain language of, I think, FPS or even third-person games that exist right now. And the way it's like why in an FPS game you run around with WASD and use the mouse because so many people are used to it. And so we're leaning a little bit onto that, but trying to make it much more usable and work with inside a much more powerful system than you typically get in games. And so even there, you saw there's a lot of interactables. You look at them, you can move them around, do all these different things with it, and hopefully it'll be much more intuitive for players in Squadron or Starcitizen.
And that default item actions is a good point, because that's also something we've gone to and we're changing in the fact that we want everything to have a default action that essentially you go over, you press F, it always does that default action. But let's say you're harvesting harvestables and you want, when you're in interact mode, bring up the wheel, or like Chris says, hold F and it will bring up the wheel. And that will replace that list that we have currently right now, and you'll actually be able to remap that in the game, like 3 clicks, and you go, I don't want it to be pick up into my hand, I want it to go straight into my backpack, because that's what you're doing right there. So then you can go and have it, it allows us to give the interaction system how we want it to be by default, but then it puts the onus on the player. If they want it to go, they want a weapon to always go to their backpack because they're happy with the weapons they've already got and they're going loot them. They just want it all to be stored.
I have sat through
that out of the gates
dry seminars before. This is like worse than death by PowerPoint.
Are we still paying attention?
And the objects that they're looking at.
I don't
Before
find
we
this.
move on, we have
That's
a second
where
video.
it's in.
Yes.
I'm zoning out. They lost me.
Yeah, I got just completely distracted from them.
So I mean, the second one, essentially, what we're about to see is kind of what I talked about. This is the second half of radon scanning. So this is where it's still getting the environmental information, like whether you've got a vent or a terminal or a hacking area, But you're also
I'm keeping track for accuracy purposes, but nothing more than that.
That's pretty much it.
So it's a wider and broader.
Yeah, I mean, this is where you basically, it's almost like whether it's X-ray vision or you can hear it through the wall, but you could track someone, but it'd be useful in like when you're stealthing around. It's like you're going to go around a corner. You
I'm very used to meetings like this.
Enemies around the corner, and you want to find out. You use this.
It's very useful.
Yeah,
Having played lots of levels.
Definitely because in Squadron, we're trying to have a certain amount of realism.
There's an almost art form to paying attention, but not actually paying attention.
When you're in situations, you're outnumbered, and you have to. It's more of a stealth game.
I'm here, but I'm not here.
Yeah.
Run and gun shooter.
Bring it to the
not
point
here,
of
but I'm
realism,
here.
then bring it back to the point of fun, as you said.
Well, there's a lot of fun stuff. Games.
All right, so I want to see this clip. I haven't seen it yet. Let's roll FPS2.
So what you're seeing here is that he's going to do a scan wave in a moment. Essentially what you'll see is that it's now penetrating through the walls, and now you can start to see which will basically skyrocket. So that's what will give you away to other people. So in the PvP environment, you're only getting, it's a big risk. If you want to do it, but you're giving away your location. So if you're willing to do that, then so be it. But in a more of a PvE environment, what we're going to do is we're going to have tailored. Some enemies will have radar scanning and some won't. So if they do, then they'll be like, hey, I've just been pinged, and they'll get your location.
Right. You're running a risk for
so what you're seeing here
target
on
acquisition.
that video is kind of a more wider, broader area and seeing through the walls. Whereas the
Basically
first
like
one's
walking
more
into a
scope, and you can, it's
sneaking into an area and then shooting us.
Your bubble is shown,
things to
so
have to interact with, and then the second one is more of a wide escape, like said. When we're playing our stealth levels, you need to have kind of a good understanding of where they are, and it's only temporary, and you will have a cooldown on that charge scan wave, so you're not just going to be able to spam it there forever. It's like you get a temporary picture, you go, cool, I've got a good snapshot, now I'm gonna make my move and go forward.
So while we're still here on the first-person experience, the player experience, so let's stick to a couple more topics that are related just to the player before we move into ships and bigger stuff.
Oh God, there's more.
Everybody knows the struggles of elevators in the Persistent universe, but that's not the only way to traverse the universe to get around and stuff. I understand that you guys have made a number of improvements to mantling over ledges and how to use ladders.
I mean, Legend and Ladders is kind of
Best game I ever played.
It's like a board game. Yeah, exactly, absolutely. It's kind of two features that we're focusing on. But I mean, as Chris said, in terms of squadron development, we're looking, the traversal moves, so vaulting, mantling, ladders, and so on and so forth. What we wanted to push for was, and it's it's kind of frustrating. You're like, oh, it's just right there. If this was real life, I'd just put my hands out and grab it, right? So that's the first part, that we can actually grab onto ledges now that you're falling past, so that you can actually then pull yourself up, which adds just it's to be honest, it's huge. Like we've built traversal levels now, and it's the difference is night and day, because when you're in a first person, it's very difficult to judge like right on the edge. So we can add a bit more challenge to the traversal, so that you're actually moving around with ledges and grabbing and pulling yourself up. The other side is looking bolt straight forward at the wall. You're locked. You can't look around. You have no spatial awareness. It's just, that's it. You're locked in. You can't get off halfway. You can't jump off. You're kind of very locked. So what we've done? No, exactly. So what we did is we kind of leveraged how we did body dragging, and that even though you're attached to this thing, you want to be able to look around. So you can attach to the ladder. You can jump onto a ladder directly. You can run and jump onto a ladder. You can look around full 360 degrees. You can look around 90 degrees as your ladder, and you can look around. And then obviously else. So
because you can jump off the ladder halfway up it or wherever.
Exactly.
So there's a huge amount of, I mean, in Squadron, I think you'll see a lot more. I mean, you already look at stuff in derelicts right now, for instance, in the PU, but imagine a whole level above that, which is kind of what's in Squadron. I mean, even that in the derelicts was really inspired by some of the early work we were doing in Squadron. But there's a lot of like physical and traversal gameplay and puzzles in Squadron, and we're building the systems to also work well with that. And then again, with a systemic world like we have in Starcitizen, where you can, Squadron design is like in most of the areas that you go through, there's more than one way to get to the end.
They've done 300.
Do it without seeing anyone, because you've just taken this difficult traversal path. So those are all things that are important.
So
and
they basically sold through.
I just put my $340 in.
Yeah, it's just a lot.
Is the block out, but we have this beautiful motion capture stage here that we will show you guys at some point when the Manchester Goods Yards and the stage are fully finished, and then Jared will do a updated version of the 2013 tour that I did with Erin, but it will be in a much bigger environment. Anyway, but I would say definitely make it, you're going to, catch your balance and do that sort of stuff. So that's not in here, but that's sort of the details, the finesse that we're adding to really have out to the third person when you see some of the stuff.
Let's
run the video
show.
if we can.
All right, ladders. So obviously this, as you can see, this is final art. So this is taken directly from Squadron 42. No, it's obviously a test map. But you can see here that, as Chris said, the level of inertia is still block out phase, but you can see that we're actually starting to get that you can grab on, you can go straight into a mantle or a vault, you can go straight into the pull-ups. And the thing to then feed into the PU jump, well, you only can do vault and mantle.
Oh my god!
You did a jump, and here we're looking around to the left, to the right, and you can jump off the ladder
to a final
and
release than we
slide
think.
down it, you can do all sorts of things.
Yeah, good.
The true boss.
And we jump across to get on the ladder there. Oh, I wonder what that is.
Thing as
Back
well.
to our spaceship.
Yeah, I mean the other thing to say about the traversal is while we're highlighting ladders and the ledge grabs and things here, the other thing is that we're also, we've taken deep dive on things like the control input.
Yeah,
So
that's
for
that
example,
big
the
ass
action
UGF
queuing
that
coming
they
up. So,
showcased.
For example, if you're button, and then now what happens now if you then release shift, you've stopped shooting. But sometimes you want it to continue shooting because I'm still holding the input that I want to do, and what we're kind of terminology in terms of this action queuing. And that's something that we've got a whole matrix of all the different controls, all the different methods from prone to crouch, the transitions, weapon swapping, and so that just you again using the controls is a lot. You're not fighting the controls. The controls are working for you. Keyboard. It's easy to use. It's something that we're really pushing forward to make better.
All aspects, right? Because prone's one of the things that we're set to be working on here, right? Plunkier than it should be. And so we've really taken a deep dive on all of it, and to make everything a lot more fluid. Looking around on the ladder is a good example, but also like on a bigger level, right? We've done a complete rework on EVA, what we call sort of push and pull. There's physical interaction. I mean, we should probably talk a little bit about that. We have a video to show of that, but it's a complete redo of the current EVA system, and it has a lot more of what you would expect when you're in space, in vacuum, pushing yourself off. You don't, for instance, you have momentum now, so if you push off in a direction, you will just keep moving in a direction. The use of it's far more easy. Handling weapons, and some of the tech that we've done, really the looking around on the ladders is kind of based on some.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, a lot of those systems are. I mean, when Chris says push-pull, he means 0G push-pull, not trolley push-pull. But
we'll talk about that too.
Yes, we will. But when we talk about EVA T2, the biggest thing, if you're a human being, you look left, your horizon doesn't change because you move your head and it's the same. Our camera like tilts and which again you'll be able to see a clip of it working. It's night and day. It is a fun. We basically threw the old one away. We still retain the upright pose for certain circumstances, but it means that you've got a better sense of your actual volume when you're traversing forward. So you're not got these legs that are beneath you. But you can totally look around 360 degrees. Your camera is stable, as you get a good orientation. When you look back, you see your body. It's fully decoupled, so you're not just pushing forward and you're flying. You just need to look at another direction and you push that way. And the way we've implemented it, it's almost like your suit's kind of similar to the IFCS on the ships, that it kind of like counters the forces and then it allows you to go in that way. We actually originally tried it where you would drift and actually do the curve, but it just made traversing more intricate spaces, which is what we want to do. Eventually we want to be able to turn gravity off in ships and that you can take those down.
It's definitely. I mean, that's part of the plan. I mean, we even in the resource network segment one of the things.
So all of those stable. You need it to be in a position where you can turn on a dime, that you can look upside down, that you get a good sense of what, you know, your orientation. And I think that's something that we've really pushed ahead on EVA2, and to be honest, the engineering team have done a really fantastic job. I find it a lot of fun flying around in EVA.
And then I'd also say the other thing that we should point out in the longer term for the PU, not so much in Squadron because is EVA capable. So we're going to separate it way around. If you don't have one, then you know it's the physical push-pull. So you can move along surfaces, you can push off against them, you come close to something, you can grab it. If you're in close things and there's handholds, you can grab them and move them around. So we have this physicalized interaction that happens, and you don't actually need to have your EVA pack or jetpack. And then the EVA jetpack is if you go out in open space, that's how obviously you can stop or change your direction and do the rest, and that will be more limited on fuel. So I think long term in the PU, there's going to be some pretty interesting gameplay.
I now know why this game has taken this long to get this far.
What do you mean you now know? This is why they don't let Chris talk anymore.
Well, no, I can just imagine what his design meetings are like.
Yeah, it's bad.
45 minutes of nothing, 5 minutes of content.
It gives a really good.
Yeah.
It's just going to give more options, more context. Because like longer term, what we want to do in the PU is what you wear is important, right? So right now, everybody just runs around in a big suit of armor, a big space. It doesn't have to sit in a seat of a space fighter in heavy armor. You shouldn't be there with your gun on the back. You should have to have a flight suit on, or you come into a city. You shouldn't be wandering around in heavy armor because that's antisocial. Maybe they don't let you go in there. So we want people to have reasons to things in the PU. That's definitely coming online, and things that we're doing like that with the the physicalized cargo and everything else. And if you look at all the new ships, there's always locker and storage. There's we have a whole system for outfits now. Switch quickly into another outfit or switch into this
Clothes,
space suit.
armor, everything.
Yeah, so we want it to be your virtual second life, and we want to make it as easy as possible for you to manage all these different things that you can wear for different roles. And EVA is
what's a Second Life simulator in space? That's right there. He just told you what he wants the game to be.
Well, I'm fine because
it's the old VFX. It's also the old VFX code. So we haven't part of the proper. This is
Jared was totally like, "All right, shut up, Chris. I'm rolling the movie."
What we'll have is a new one with the proper pack that has the thrusters in the right position, and when you go forward, the thrusters go from the back.
So what you're actually seeing here is your new prone will be, again, you've got full 360 degrees. You can just move your mouse and look all the way behind you, all the way in front.
And right now we're moving along here, not because we're thrusting, because we're using our hands to move ourselves. As we're doing that, we went out to just sort of pulling ourselves along. And if we want, that's this sort of idea of what we call push.
That's actually
okay.
That's pretty cool.
Alongside the actual.
I love it.
Pretty
Cool. That's great.
Like fucking Sadako from the goddamn Ring.
We have the tractor beam that kind of pulls you around in EVA. This allows you to kind of manipulate and go in EVA, and allows us as developers to build EVA traversal spaces, both wide-ranging and both small-scale.
Yeah, your character bodies doing. So there's a lot of, and these are still blockout animations actually, but so there'll be a lot more like.
We've known for a while that this is what he wanted. Star 42 is what Wing Commander was supposed to be.
You sort of arrest yourself again.
And SC, Star Citizen, is freelancer privateer.
Brace ourselves to stop ourselves on the glass. So all of that's like systemic. That's not. If you look down at the slavers that you saw in the earlier scan, but the use of this is
And also the big thing that Chris said about is there's no markup. It's a surface. You can put your hands on it. It's got a big enough space to put your hands on it. It will work. So there's no like, oh, it only works in this. Oh, it only works in this. It is what you see here. And then as what we've not been able to show today, which is we do have working or partially working, is that when you go into very tight environments, if there are handholds, you will be able to grab onto that handhold, or whether it's a terminal or whether it's hatch to get into a ship, you'll grab onto the handhold, and then instead of putting your hands out and landing, you'll grab on, and then you go, cool, I can use the terminal, or I can look around. And again, you're not locked in. You can look all 360 degrees. You'll switch hands as you look around, and you can get a sense of, okay, where do I want to go next? I want to go over there, cool, or I want to go through this door. And it works in tight environments, wide scale environments, and fundamentally, it's a lot nicer to play than our current version, which is just
No, I mean it's massive for the game. So I think there'll be a lot more sort of EVA, external action.
Yeah.
The combat's better. It's much more stable. I think we'll see a lot of puzzles and traversal in the PU that can be built from that, because we don't really, we have a lot of stuff down on planets, but it would also be nice to have more like exploring more the sort of derelict asteroid bases kind of things, and EVA. I think we all love science fiction, obviously. We're making these kind of games. That's sort of a lot of classic sci-fi you see. So we spent that's an example of us being able to spend the time to really think about how we want the system to work, how best it's going to work, and bed it in Squadron, and then there'll be some
it and playing it. It's like, it doesn't feel right, and now you can just you know it when you get it right, because you can just go and you're like, oh, this feels really nice, and you just end up flying around the level and connecting things, and so yeah, this unlocks content for the
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I purposely didn't watch the videos. I wanted to be able to react as honestly while we're recording as possible. And I know you said those were blockout animations, but as somebody who's been with Steve Bender, sorry, Steve. But no, it looks great, and I think everybody who saw that now is going to see the potential, the absolute gameplay potential for all kinds of zero G gameplay possibilities.
That's great. I mean, there's some smaller things, like we have one other thing here. We have a video for, which is it's not as big as a system as, like, say, the EVA replacement, but like the hover trolley that we've got. Well, actually, that was something we've been working on for quite a while. But the thing we can show you here in a few minutes. But the thing that's really good about this, because obviously the physical trolleys, the wheels get caught. I mean, just like in the real world, right? And you've got problems of going upstairs and all the rest of the stuff, just like you would in the real world. Is that it sort of opens up the potential, and this really plays into the PU. We use it in Squadron for certain things, like you'll see in what we show here, but for the PU it's actually much more interesting, because now you have the ability. We always had this design for our like bigger cargo containers, right? Ones you can't just pick up yourself. We originally had this design where there was sort of a grav lever system, where you stuck in this thing and the grav lever would come in 318. I think Tony's trying to squeeze a few things in to see if he manages to get everything in, but this isn't necessarily going to be in 318, but it will come in probably not too far in the near future. But this allows you to not just have your little tractor beam and pick up something and move it around, but okay, let's have a bigger container. And what happens if
yes, please give us that.
In the inventory system, you can put things in your local inventory of your ship, or other various things. Well, imagine large vehicle items in it. I can place all sorts of stuff in it. So I could load up this container, I could push it into my ship, then I could fly it off to some remote planet and put it next to where I'm camping out, or longer term where you say maybe a player base or some group of players with the system decide to take over a derelict or something, and I can basically load up a bunch of supplies in a container, like bigger supplies or weapons or armor suits or whatever, and put it in there just by doing this. So the underlying sort of sticks that is going to come with that, because longer term with persistence and what we're doing, I think there's going to be a whole bunch of gameplay that will be around Borgs are fighting a war over a patch of land. Someone's got to show up with extra ammo and missiles and all that kind of stuff, and or weapon replacement, especially as we get repairing and the salvaging and stuff. Okay, well, rather than have to fly it to a place that can do your repair, maybe there's an on-field repair that's happening right there, and someone's changing out a broken weapon for another weapon because you've loaded it up and stored it in your container. So there's the possibilities in the PU is huge, and this is an example of just little bits of tech that we're putting into Squadron that we're planning on bringing across into the PU. But in the PU, they just have a lot potential, like the EVA.
Yeah, I mean the biggest thing about Troll Turtle Purpose that is more like traditional games, which is
droning.
Blocked. I can move
Yeah,
there was
that was an interesting look from Jared. He's like,
kind of
"Come on,
the
Chris, I
modern
gotta wrap
controls
this up."
are better suited for. And this is
Yeah, we
another
haven't even got
example
to
where
the
we
ship
put
side of
trolls
it
into
yet.
the PU, but there
Which they
wasn't
said there
really
was more on.
a use case or best use case. So that at the moment they're just used as enemies, or seeing people flying as missiles out. The other side of trolleys, which is we want to be used for cargo loading. Now, again, we've got a lot of ships, we've got a lot of different ramps. The scales of those ramps is larger, and with hover trolleys, when you see the video, you can push them downstairs. You can push them up any ramp. You know, the weight that you're having to physically put
Basically
right on
WMDs.
so,
It closes down. It's on the floor. We're going to activate it. Levitates up now. Grav levs on. You get hold of it. Down. And by the way, the new interaction system's not working in this demo here.
Hell yeah.
It's a separate build. But
We can probably kill all kinds of people with this.
Bulkheads.
Yay.
But this is essentially a really big improvement for us. We want physical cargo, and we want physical cargo to be a really
Here's kidnapping gameplay right here.
Move that how you how long it's going to take to the cells, move much larger things.
I'm with it.
Normally be able to push with a human being.
Yeah, I mean, this happens to be just a slave one, but obviously we can push it. As long as it's grav lev equipped and has the sort of hover device, then like I said, you could have
Just think, when persistence comes out, someone will be able to do this to you and then literally eject you out the side of a ship and leave you out in the middle of fucking space. What do you do then?
Eventually, you'll hopefully be able to move much larger shed or whatever we do eventually. And we've actually had this working on a planet, so you can just push this over the planet terrain. You don't let go, it stays stable, because it doesn't actually undulate unless there's something actually physically touching it. So it allows it to be much more stable. And what we want to do for your cargo loading is that
We need to be able to stick that in a torpedo
you'll be
tube.
able to snap things on top of it. So if you have a flat platform,
I think they shaped it the same as the drop tubes in the new bomber.
to reliably move them without frustration. And again, you can see some of our design ethos coming through is that we're trying to remove the barrier to entry. We're trying to remove the control mechanism, the things that frustrate you as you play the game.
That's true.
So we've talked about a number of things now that are related to the player, to the first person, stuff like this. And we got a couple more we're going to come back to later. But let's move up into spaceships, because spaceships are a big part of the experience.
My heroes.
We just had earlier in the day we had our flight experience segment where they talked about master modes and tornadoes and stuff like this. But at a higher level and stuff, let's talk about how the flight experience is changing a bit through the work in Squadron 42, and anything you want to share with us on that.
I think the biggest thing for me, and I think it's what Chris and I have talked about, is the difficulty of developing a game over a period of time when it's a live product, is that you're developing things in isolation and you're putting them out. So you're going, okay, this is our T0, this is MFDs. And okay, now we want to do the flight HUD. We put the flight HUD. And now we want to do this section. And what happens is, maybe it's a different designer over the years, or maybe it's someone else, or maybe they've learned from what's happened and gone out previously. And lots of things come together, but they don't necessarily feel right. Because they've not been approached where you've gone, we're going to do it all at once. Because you can never do it all at once if you've got to hit quarterly releases. So with Squadron development, what's it allowed us to do is allowed us to look at the HUD and the MFDs and everything together and go, well, actually, we don't need all that information on the HUD if we've got it on the MFDs. Or we don't need all the information here if we've got physical switches. And it's allowed us to approach the design of the cockpit experience holistically so that we can go, okay, let's pull all this noise away in direction, and I need to know my ammo, and master modes is a good way of going down that road, is kind of going, okay, we want to have traversal and we want to have combat. So if you've got SCN, combat, you're in QCM, you're in quantum mode, so that's traversal and flight. And then we've taken that approach and gone, okay, well, do you always need an altimeter? Well, no, maybe not. If you're in space, maybe you only need an altimeter when you go down to atmosphere. Your MFDs, if you're in space, you really care
They don't work half the time anyway.
your health,
Yeah, true.
target's health, how they're doing. But as a default default experience.
What doesn't work?
We're only
Altimeters.
You want to see the ship that
Yeah.
you're fighting. You want to see the environment you're flying around in. Yeah, I mean, one of the big things that we're the big initiative on the vehicle side for Squadron is the sort of complete redo of the HUD and the MFD systems, and basically the display where we're on the MFD displays. And on the HUD, we sort of took a look at where we were going and felt like Rich said, it's just too much stuff's there all the time, and what we want to be more contextual. So, yeah, and we're doing this in a overall holistic way that would be probably almost impossible if we were trying to fit it into quarterly releases in the PU. So, you know, most of the vehicle team is working on this as a sort of group. You know, in the need for multiple speeds that we saw earlier, you sort of saw some aspects of it, which is the different modes you can be in depending on what you're trying to do. But you know, a lot of that's also reflected on the HUD and the information of what you're targeting, whether you can, you know, whether you want to be able to cast up, say, your target status or your ship status to your visor. Now, that won't be the case for everything. Every suit, like for instance, if you have a more combat-oriented ship or suit that you wear, you know, like a, you know, I don't know, a Gladius or a Hornet, you've got the appropriate equipment, then you should be able to cast. If you're just flying an old rust bucket like an Aurora, you wouldn't have the Caterpillar, you know, you wouldn't cast it up to your visor like you would as a fighter pilot. It would be sitting down on the MFDs. But basic config screen in your ship, you go in, you have your like settings screen, and the settings will be remembered on a per ship basis, and you can set up on, you know, okay, I want this display to be this, or this display to this, I want this to cast here, and so it's all been built about building blocks and being in a very sort of top-down, consistent, clean approach. So we're pretty excited about that. We're not ready to show it yet because we're still in the sort of you know,
foundation stage.
Yeah, there's a little further before it's.
Say he was or wasn't ready to show.
Was
it.
not.
Yeah,
was not.
Traversal and all the rest of the stuff. It's how you get the information and how it's relayed to you is going to be much more contextual, much better.
And it's huge in combat. It's huge in combat because in combat right now you're either, you know, we're obviously trying to bring the combat closer, which is obviously what Yogi and the guys and Dave talked about in their talk. But you don't want to have a little clutter on there, and you want to have that spatial awareness of, okay, who's my target? And the other aspect is that on that level of, you know, again, a holistic approach is your player, like it's just massive information overload. You know, and some players.
It was definitely a problem in Squadron.
Yeah,
we have
absolutely.
Quite a few areas of the game where there's massive amounts of ships.
Yeah, and you know, some players can deal with it, but you know, it's just so much information. It's unnecessary. So what we've done is that we want to strip back the targeting so that, again, you're only targeting the things that are important to you. So, you know, we're relying less on all these markers, and we want to put more of a focus on your radar in the cockpit. Because you have a radar in the cockpit. You know, fighter pilots in real life have a radar. They don't have in-world AR markers. Also, we want to basically make sure that you're using the tools that we provide. Because what's happening right now is that everybody's just relying on the HUD. Because the HUD has everything on there. But you've got MFDs. You've got a cockpit radar. You know, they're there for a reason. So what's happened over the years is that we've redone, oh no, this is it. This is where the player should be. And what we want to do is we go back to kind of what Chris's original vision in terms of, well, there's an in-cockpit radar. You should use that. There's in-cockpit MFDs. You should use those. Okay, now I'm in this specific combat node. Okay, they're cast, so I can see that information. But the radar doesn't become redundant. That should be what the noise is on. That's where all the information should be. Okay, I should be able to go in there and select targets. That information should be clean and delivered to me. But out in the world, I want to look what's there. I want to look at my target. I want to look what I'm saying. Oh, there's a space station. Oh, there's another guy coming in. So we want to have less reliance on just AR markers where you're fighting 15, 20 ships. It's just a lot. It's a lot more fun because you're not having to deal with all the extra noise. You can just focus on being the best pilot you can be. I think it's really important.
And I would say that definitely, you know, we're putting a bunch of work into the radar, which is really radar / star map. So like what you've never had in the PU. The original design was that that radar that you would see would also scale up, or you would scale out basically, to be a star map, right, your nav map. And what happened when we were getting the first iteration of the PU out, the baby PU, we didn't get that working yet, so we just said, well, we'll use your Moby-Glass version, and we're still using the Moby-Glass version all these years later, and it's still mostly the code that was done all those years ago. And that's when I mentioned at the top of our talk that the star map, well, the star map's really a star map and radar, because you can zoom in and zoom out, and you can zoom all the way to the radar level or zoom all the way out to the star map. And we've put a huge amount of work into making that much more fluid, much more usable, much visually better, and also having the information there and the interactability. So like you can be zoomed in and you can be looking at your radar, and you can mouse over contacts and you can get the information from it. You can click them and then that will now select it as your target and do a lot of things that haven't really been there. So I think a lot of players, because we haven't delivered, and this is sort of at the top of the talk that Rich was talking about, was because we haven't delivered all the things, we've just delivered some of the things. Sometimes people just see 400 AR markers when they're flying around, and so those are all, that's an example on the vehicle side where we're sort of really trying to bring that all in, as well as there's other things that we're doing that will come across the PU in terms of physical buttons, like when you activate something, we just, that's in process right now, but yeah, you'll click a button and you'll see your character, click, here's for the landing gear, or here's to turn the lights on, or here's to activate my quantum drive, just to make it physical, but have fun being lost in the world, which is the most important thing.
And a certain level of customization, as we're talking about, because some ship.
It's a really good example of a feature that we've put into the PU in Starcitizen that isn't hit what we envisaged it to be, because right now you're kind of limited to 20 kilometers. Now, really, I think you've seen Quantum Boost in some of the earlier videos. The premise that we want you to be is, we've got this vast universe, so we want radar and scanning. We actually, we have this smaller radar on the ship side. It's that we want a smaller one, and when I say smaller, I'm talking, say,
this shit is really starting to drag on here.
Information around this area. But then we've got the charge boosting to these locations. You're not having to go, okay, there's a quantum travel marker there that's 1 million kilometers away. That's like, okay, I'm making a. We're not just cramped in, because radar and scanning is fundamentally, it has two purposes.
What do you think Jared's looking like on the other side of the camera right now?
And the second
Cringe.
purpose is to help you explore.
Oh, he hates this. Jared hates this shit.
Necessarily apparent, because space is a big, dark place. So we need that. We want to be able to take advantage of that. So when you have this ability to detect things that are much further away, all of a sudden you start to feel like you are that pilot.
You've got to fly to them to investigate them, and so I think that's a good example of something on Squadron that we were also looking at, like, how do we solve the problem of your patrolling an area, right? And it's not very much fun if you patrol an area and then it's like space is big. I go to this area and then I look around and
I actually got a service beacon. What the fuck?
Well, how really, if we think about it, there's like short range, which is what you would call the standard control mode, like slower exploration. I come up to a derelict, or there's a cluster of asteroids that I'm going to fly around to see what's happening. And then there's the medium range, which hasn't really existed, and we really should be in the PU, which is, well, what's that over there that's 10,000 kilometers away? The equivalent of being on a planet and going, there's a mountain over there, I can see it, I don't know what's on it, but I'm going to drive over there, I'll walk over to that mountain. And so the idea with sort of the some kilometers away, so you definitely won't be able to understand what's there, but you'll say, there's something
There's a point of interest.
There's a point of interest, and so you'll be able to map things, and then we can use this as your sort of mid-level traversal speed, where it allows you, it's probably about 1/10 the speed of the full quantum travel, sort of not using all the quantum juice, if you want to think of it that way.
Quantum
but
juice.
It allows you to sort of get there pretty quickly, and also appreciate the environment you're going through, and get over there. Oh, I go up to the mountain, see what's that. Oh, there's trees here. Oh, that's really cool. And because in the PU, when this rolls into the PU, now you can have exploration gameplay in space. So, for instance, you could be
never had.
Yeah, we've never had. So,
Never had.
so you could be in a big nebula gas cloud, and you scan and I got a contact 20k away. Okay, I'm going to boost over to see what. Oh, I come up. Oh, look, it's a I go over here, and we can even in the PU be in a case where you can almost procedurally generate some points of interest when you start to scan that you can go and visit. So, regular, non-quantum one where you're just using regular thrusters, which is much more sort of limited and works for combat and stuff like that. Then there's the quantum boost, which is sort of to fast run over to in quantum for 5 minutes to get there. And I think that's going to open up a huge amount in the PU. I mean, it makes a big difference to the gameplay. I mean, it makes the exploring in Squadron in space feel much bigger.
Yeah.
Because that was the thing we were trying to follow. And I think it's a problem in the PU right now is when you're in space, it's sort of like, most of it is
empty point.
It's empty for you, right? It's like you spend your time around the space stations or some asteroids here or around the planet, but we want to open it up a bit more and have that idea of, I can detect something, I want to investigate it. So the whole sort of exploration.
So I know we have a clip for this. For folks who are on YouTube and you don't know what this looks like, let's take a look at the quantum boost clip that we have, so we can see it one more time here.
So we've done a scan here. That's also the old points of interest that are multiple 10Ks away.
And you can see the distance there. It says 13,000 kilometers on the right-hand side.
Yeah, and this, by the way, that's all program because you're just going to have to stay in those areas. So what it's allowing you to do is spend forever 1,200 meters.
Folks, if you watched the flight experience segment earlier in the day, that's the old UI, which is probably closer to what you're familiar with in the PU today. What we just showed now is the new old UI.
It's the styled Squadron UI that was from the UI you have in the PU.
Right.
So what you have in the, but it was still based on the idea of all this information being present, and we've decided that we wanted to really scale that back to be more contextual, to switch between modes. So that's one of the reasons why we're not really showing all the HUD and the MFD stuff now, is because we're in the process of the change, hacked in the modes to the current HUD stuff, but when the new one comes online, it should be much cleaner and easier to go. And I don't know if it was too clear on the video that we were seeing, but on the video we see we were
high
in
threat
SCM mode,
standard
control mode, and the shield's powered down. But once it's spooled up and you want to go, what's that over there? People have been wanting to. I just want to free quantum, right? There's people who want to do that for quite a while.
It's like getting on your horse.
Quantum boost is.
Second star to the right, straight on time winner. So these flight experience stuff. You talked a little bit about the star map, mapping things and getting around stuff. There's also the mini map. Which has always been this promise of being able to find your way through either a really large ship or a space station or stuff like that. What can you tell us about the work on the mini map?
So radar, as we call it, is essentially, it encapsulates the star map, it encapsulates what's in your cockpit, and it also encapsulates when you're in FPS, you have an FPS radar and scanner. And the mini-map is essentially a way for you to be able to, and you can access it both from your Mobi or it'll be on your HUD, a way for you to get the spatial awareness in, when you're in a 3D environment in FPS. So I think what we have in terms of the mini-map, it gives you that 3D isometric view that you can move around, and all the information in there is underpinned. So if you go into, say, a known location, so let's say you go to Microtech, different new players play Starcitizen, and they're like, where do I go? So it'd be nice for us to be able to go, here's the spaceport. Oh, that's where I can go. And it gives you a map at your fingertips. But then when you're at an environment that is not download, and then you have it to you. So it really allows us, again, is that it's scale. How do I play the game? Where do I need to go? What do I need to do? What you understand, and then it's like, where do I need to go? Okay, well, this allows you, we have a mini-map here, and this allows you to go, oh cool, there's the spaceport, there's the shuttle, or there's the train, or this is how I get to this area. And we can provide, missions that allow people to then navigate to those places, so that then they understand that, okay, this is how I get to a certain place. Because everybody, if somebody says to me tomorrow, come round to my house, or go here, just give them a postcode, and you put it in GPS. Everybody's so...
Put it in Google Maps.
Exactly.
You need that. You need the street level version of it.
Yeah.
So we've long wanted this. It's very critical for squadron, but it's also and the terminal auto connects to explore something, and then as you explore it, you map it, just like a sort of more traditional mapping technique. And there'll be some cases like load it into a system, like Asiado is an example of, we've been showing it because we showed it a while back as a location. It's just one of the very, it's a minor location in terms of squadron, but since we showed it, we thought, okay, that's a good.
It's just a good backdrop.
It's a good backdrop rather than just grey boxes. But that would be an example. Is you don't know the layout of that place, but you would have to go and hook into their system, download the map, and then now you would have it in your mini. What we have some footage here, which is showing how that will essentially become your mini map, but you'll have a more sort of reduced version with you in the middle as you're moving around. But if we run it, it's taking our existing layouts, levels, ships, so we don't have to build this custom, but it's a way of applying certain shaders and marking up certain objects to be displayed, like the floor gets displayed but the walls don't. So we can just take the existing job. This is essentially in the engine using the Idris ship itself and the various parts of its interior to create the mini-map without any special. This doesn't have any specific custom like UI art for it, other than some.
Because the environment's already in a good state to show straight out the gate.
And so the idea of this being systemic is that when it's in the feature and is ready to go,
lots, tens, hundreds of thousands of locations.
Yeah, especially for the PU.
And absolutely for the PU, it's just not viable. So we wanted to come up with a solution that we can use, with minimal effort on the side of content creation, but gives us all the information that we want. And this mini-map is not just, that's where I am. It can show you objectives, it can show you other people, it can show you information about those things. Again, it's all underpinned by the radar and scanner. So when we call it the mini-map, this is just a kind of how you view your radar information in FPS. And your radar, can I hack it? If it's a person, what's their active status? Are they injured? So if you're coming into here and going, I'm trying to do a medical mission, I've got a marker.
I hate fighting hammerheads and fucking titans and gladius and shit.
Right, this person's injured. Oh, his body's injured too. Oh, he's got a tier 1 injury. Am I this information?
Yeah, it allows you to detect saboteurs or intruders.
Absolutely.
But then using like the relay networking where those saboteurs and intruders can start pulling fuses and start hiding themselves from the scanning.
This will also underpin resource network.
Yeah, so exactly that the same visuals and tech is planned to drop into the resource. So if you're looking at like your schematic for the ship to where your relays are going to be, or security reasons, which doors view of your ship like that using the same tech. So that the idea is those two things work well together.
All right, so we've been talking about the FPS step, the step that affects the player specifically. We're going to touch a few more of those things before we leave today. We've moved up into space and talked about our flight experience, ourselves and our ships. Let's talk about our enemies, our improvements that have been coming because of work on Squadron.
So we want to achieve, and over the years as I've worked in games, I think probably Chris would attest to as well, is that the best AI are kind of some of the simpler AI that you have a really good solid foundation, then you build on top of it. And I think our AI over the period of time that has been there, I think it's kind of a different.
The AI that's in the PU has never really was a basic implementation at the beginning, and then it's been rolled out, and there's so many other things going on. Doesn't help the AI out at all. Saying, okay, don't worry about that. I mean, yeah, I'm sorry that the AI is kind of brain dead a lot of the times in the PU. Combination servers and what's going to happen with server meshing is going to make a big difference for that. And there's other things that are happening in the background that will also make it better. Iterating on it, adding sort of interest and complexity, and making them feel like real humans fighting you, or in the case of Vandal, real aliens fighting you, and not creatures. Yeah. Well, hey, let's be quiet about that. But servers, and make that work really. I'm not just shooting dummies that jump up and I can easily blast. And when that all works, then I won't argue it's been like a long, hard slog on the AI side. It's partly because we wanted to become really systemic, and we have massive, especially in the PU, a massive world that can have all these different situations. So it's not, like if you're doing a standard FPS game, a Call of Duty, like the narrative parts of it, you know exactly where everyone's going to be, and you can sort of script actions for the AI to make it be, locations on the planets, or to make it systemic. It needs to understand the environment. It needs
He's been going on for what, an hour now?
Perception of what's happening around it.
We are going on an hour.
Yeah. The AI team is, and we absolutely have turned the corner this 100%. Year because both me and Rich actually, we were playing it when some of the blast systems came in, and it was challenging to say the least.
Yes.
And challenging in a good way, in like the fact that we were like, okay, we want to clear everyone FPS.
Are you guys doing bunkers?
I think I'm kind of
someone's server speaking in their car.
Behind it went away.
In the keybind settings, I set something to double tap, but now I can't get the double tap to go away.
Behaviors and systems that we've been working on in terms of like realistic and see where you were and see you in the peripheral vision, or then have different ways of approaching, so trying to flank you. So there's a whole bunch of work that's been done, pretty great stuff, and so that is going to be stuff that will ultimately be coming to the PU, and it'll be really cool. But I don't know if Rich wants to add a bit to it.
Well, I need to ask something, because I've spent more than a single day on the internet before. When you say we've thrown everything
away. Well, actually, I was about to come back to that.
Because that's going to be the title of the Kotaku article.
Well, it's interesting, because how do we want to change it and how do we want to manipulate it? So we're not throwing away the more technical underpinnings of the AI.
Subsumption's still there.
No. Subsumption.
When in doubt, ask the world chat.
How they navigate and find around the world. It's more about the bits that you go and you tune, and the bits you tweak, and we call them behaviors, like AI behaviors. So what we did is we pulled all the AI back and stripped it back to essentially 3 base behaviors. Essentially, defender, so I want to stay back and cover and defend a location. A strafer, who kind of choose to go, they can choose combat behaviors. This is so. Once you've engaged in combat, they can then select one of these behaviors to engage you, so that you get a mixture of combat when you're fighting them, and obviously you might get 3 defenders, or you might get 1 strafer and 2. We've got a video to show some. To always defend, he can never re-roll as another behavior, or I want him to be like a turret, so he never moves from cover to cover, or I want pushers to be, I want always to be a pusher. I want them to, be aggressive. I want them to be reckless. I want them to have friendly fun. Is that a fun experience? Then you can start adding in all the other things on top. You go, okay, I want this trait and this trait. So you're crafting combat experiences. So in a PU mission, if you've got a ship coming in bringing air reinforcements, we can say, okay, we can weight the behavior. So you're not getting the same thing every time, but you can go, okay, you get these guys who push, they're quite aggressive because that's their faction, whether it's Ninetales, or these guys are quite defensive, they're more military. Weapons in there, so you've got sniper rifles, so the different engagement ranges, and all of a sudden you have this matrix of individual behaviors that is multiplied into the hundreds, that allows us to have a really strong combat experience that is not the same. It's not, Starcitizen games that you're going to be playing for thousands of hours. You don't want to just be having the same combat experience over and over again. Vice versa in Squadron, we want you to be able to ramp up the combat. We want to have factions play differently. We want you to have different experiences you play throughout the game. And when we looked at the AI combat behavior, that's something we identified. But then we also looked at perception and basically tweaked that and read that in a way that allows us that, you're coming around the corner, it's not just instant. They know where you are. They know exactly what
it's not human.
No, exactly. What we want to do is we want to make it challenging but fair, and that is when
they're still fucking droning on.
Throughout Ciado.
Yep.
Yes.
Even
still
though
going.
it was very challenging, when we died, it was because we made a mistake. It was like, okay, I didn't check my left when I came out here, and I'm like, I got taken out. And we've also looked at accuracy. So we've looked at accuracy as that, even a human, even a soldier, they don't, as soon as you pop out of cover, they're like, oh, someone's there.
Flying around.
Alternating.
Nothing.
And then what we wanted to do is that we don't want AI to be 100% accurate.
Between bunkers
Inquisitor
and service beacons.
So we have a silhouette-based accuracy model now. So
I have a shitload of service beacons at Hurston as well. And I also have a Scorpius that has an empty gunner seat for anybody.
but pressure you in a way that you feel we want to. We've put a real focus on terms of how they perceive you in the environment when they're socially active. How do they perceive you in combat? And then we have pretty much 90% of what I've talked about there is in the game. We've had balanced passes. We've played it. It's a lot of fun. And then what we have on top of that is future things that we're going to be adding even more. So, you know, we've got versions of the working on, but they're underpinned by an absolute solid foundation. So if you strip all of it back just to those 3 base behaviors, the defender, pusher, strafer, is it fun? Because if it's not fun there, it's not going to be fun here. You can't just keep relying on.
They're still talking.
And going, oh, it's going to get fun when we do this. It's going to get fun when we do this. So we pull it back so that you have a challenge that you feel like you're being.
I hard locked.
And again, in the PU, you could be.
Is everybody's game crashing to desktop now?
Or you could be. You might want to do something else.
Just mine, I think.
I'm still in. I'm on my way to Everest.
Do trading. And
there we go.
When you get into FPS,
I think I just took his spot from crashing.
There's a guy in global chat literally begging people for like ships, for them to buy him ships with real money.
So you have V1, then you have V2, then V3. You know, V1 was the very first basic combat behavior, and it was the beginning, and there's a lot more systems now.
This is crazy to me. I don't know.
Come bring me 100 subs, I'll send him a vulture.
A lot more of the things we talked about, like perception, the accuracy, and all this other stuff that happens.
And within the context you were speaking specifically,
I like these leg pieces that I found.
Combat behaviors.
Correct.
Like those 7 segments I did about the bartenders, those are all still accurate.
No, social. So I mean, social AI and combat behaviors. There is social.
We've redone the Chow line yet again.
Social AI staying
more
the same.
mess hall.
Mess hall will never end.
We will also be using some of these.
You said you're at Everest. You guys doing beacons?
To push into the flight AI. So the
I just finished a bunker, but I've been going between bunkers and beacons.
The jousting.
I'm just gonna hop in Warp Scorpius.
Things like accuracy and behaviors and how they can roll different traits and
drop off this
that's something
shit
that we'll have holistically across AI, across Starcitizen as a whole. You know, we're showing it as the FPS.
Just saw someone in Twitch chat say, Jared, give us a thumbs up if you're okay in there.
Yeah, Jared, blink twice if you want to be freed.
Yeah. So what I'd suggest, I think we'd probably show investigation first.
You can tell he is 100% fucking done.
You just talked about combat.
Yeah.
There's a whole bunch of other behavior in terms of, because, like I said,
I mean, wouldn't you be?
Yes.
So
I think we are, actually.
Testbed for that. So investigation, so like someone here.
And we're not even sitting there in the room with him.
Like, I'm literally getting sleepy listening to them drone on.
You think that the cameraman's already asleep?
Wait for the camera just to start drooping.
We'll slowly come into shot.
Yeah, it looks like a dramatic pan. It's just him slowly drifting.
Cooking bed for what we call social AI, non-combat AI.
Yes, just so that I could go between these.
Did I miss anything on the ship stuff? Because I went to go make me something to eat.
Nothing's happened
mini-maps.
yet. Well, yeah, but the mini maps. There you go.
Engineers going about their
That was pretty neat.
business, or a janitor, cleaning up messes that people leave systemically, or for instance,
flight attendants or hangar personnel.
Yeah, the hangar people, basically operating on the hangar, and then when they're not fixing something, they're on board the Stanton, which is the interest that you're based in.
And it's huge conversation. When you're playing through a level and you can hear them talking to each other.
Said hangar
and
1 warp.
reacting to what's happening.
Yeah.
Warp, what are you guys gonna go do?
Space to life.
So yeah, but the dynamic conversation system allows it. So we have some that are sort of more story scripted conversations, like if you eavesdrop on some people patrolling, and we've got some stuff we want to let you hear so you know where to go and stuff like that. But also, there's dynamic conversations, so people can just sort of, whether it's in a mess hall, they sit down, they just start the conversation talking about the most recent vid show they saw, or talking about what they think the best, ship thruster is. And there's a system in for that, and we're creating a recording, but that's also a system that's going to come into the PU. It's going to create a huge amount of life. So when you go into a bar in the PU, or you're wandering around the big point of interest cities, people will be having conversations, gossiping, talking about how well I heard there was something went on. The Ninetales attacked someone in Horizon, but it will be
conversation system stuff to show today, but let's look at some of the investigation stuff, and then we'll look at some of the combat stuff we were talking about afterwards.
So here we go. What the fuck was that?
So it's the investigation in the test map, and what you're seeing here, in some respects, you might think that this is scripted, that this is something that we just put on a track. This is purely systemic. So if we captured this 20 different times, it would be 20. It would play out 20 different ways.
So the individual there is going away to hide behind that orangey boxy, whatever we want to call that color.
So that's the player.
This is essentially a stand for the player.
Wow, there's a lot of player bounties.
For him at the moment. The white, the spheres go away.
Got it.
Okay, they've checked the place, so no one's actually there hiding cover. So they're both kind of working.
Have you guys ever had a loot box despawn while you were looting it?
Yes.
No.
So they share this information. So as they're clearing the cover points,
It's never happened for me. Just I was in there, I was like, oh, that's kind of like a neat helmet. It wasn't one of the special ones. We had to go drag it over.
At some point in the crash, I took some massive damage to it in a cell.
Once they've then cleared it, they'll then progress.
So I must have like
But again, here would be
scrubbed the ground a little bit with the Connie.
Yeah, where is he? And again, if we've got vents in here.
He's checking another vent there.
Yeah, checking the cover points. You can see there's only a few balls left now. The one enemies will then go, okay, we've checked everything in here. I'm now going to progress to the next space because that's where they're not in here. I think they're going to go this way.
So you come back. There's only one set of ones left. Just check it. He's going to come through here. Cleared those. So now he's going around here.
That I was about to say. That guy was taking a whooping.
Which starts off with it's into full combat.
I just.
But the previous states are kind of levels.
I want to cover the full event, but
they go
I like.
based on levels of different perception. So a green might have seen you.
Struggling here.
Okay.
Oh yeah, I'm over it.
Did I see something? No.
By the way, in the game you don't see that. That's our
no, that's our debug.
That's just indicating the level, and the level in the game would be.
But we'll have audio and visual representation for those levels. So the initial green one would just be like
moderate.
Like a head turn.
You want to send me a party invite?
Then you're getting into the last bit, like the turn to face the noise and going. I think I'm gonna go check it out.
On my HUD right there.
And then we have obviously the red. It's like there's a depth here.
It's just another
and
moderate.
Once they've been threatened, like in most games, what happens is if you wait a long enough time, they will then de-escalate to the green.
I'm on my way.
Their minds.
I head back to Everest and change.
I got a high up. Oh my! What is going on?
In that threatened state,
they're all popping at once.
Functions, but they're more perceptive. So as soon as they see like he's there again, they'll get it. So that makes it a difference that if you've gone loud at the start and then tried to hide, you can't just go, oh no, they'll forget about me. It has memory, and that will be the case in the PU as it is in Squadron. So
that was on a test map.
Yes.
We do have an example of it.
Yep. So I'll roll it up.
Take a look at the real deal.
More contacts. So here's in Asiago in the decommissioned area. You can see the two AI in the distance catch you, and then this is kind of just a representation of it doing the same thing in a real environment. But obviously we wanted to show you that kind of the thing behind the curtain. What are they actually doing? They're checking cover points. They're checking the usables that are there, and then in a lot of the cases when we actually captured this video, if we actually failed because they pincered the player and they actually found you before we were able to show you what was happening. So it's really good to see how this transition from social into combat, so that you can actually play through the game.
Better check it out.
So here he's checking a usable, which we've set up, where he's just kind of like looking and checking, okay, so
somebody's Avenger Titan just got blown up on the pad.
Sharing that information with his buddy. So if you've got two.
Did you get that high threat?
AI that are searching.
I'm checking. There's some. All right, no, I don't have it.
You may not be able to see them, but you're gonna know they're out there looking for you. If you stay in the same place for too long, they will find you.
So you can see the one in the background is actually looking over one of the vents, one of the railings, should I say, and then Ross, who captured all these videos, I think he takes a bit of revenge.
New pathfinding AI.
It's systemic. They understand all the hiding places. This is their station. They understand the hiding places. They understand where to look, and they just go through
Yeah, so you can drop these enemies in any environment, and they will play out like this. But obviously, the choices that they make at runtime will be different. And this is where we have to make sure that the AI that we're working on, even though we're working on it in Squadron, it has to work for the entirety of Starcitizen in all the different environments and all the different scenarios that you're put in. So
226 high threat.
It's a major improvement.
So that's
I tried to get it.
But let's look at some of the combat tactics.
Sure.
So
I got
let's
it.
do combat tactics 1.
Sharing it now.
So again, what you're seeing here is in the test map. We wanted to just kind of show you a bird's eye view.
Send to a different ship.
Mode on so you can see it, and you can see
Are we
the
gonna have like
labels here.
hammerheads
So
and such at this one? You think?
That kind of
probably.
Points.
Yeah.
And we've got
I've got my
pusher who's kind of pushing
Ares
towards
Ion.
you.
Should I bring that?
Yeah, the strafer who is kind of like taking more of a wider angle.
Oh, you'll have to
I gotta shut them up. I can't take anymore. Sorry, stream. I'm done.
No, Bash is done.
Hammerhead,
not exactly
Hammerhead,
a
Starfarer,
Hellbiter.
Starfarer, Reclaimer, and Andromeda. We'll go after the Andromeda first.
Sammy?
Yeah. No, Treadwell, right in front of us.
Yeah, more shitheads inbound.
Reloading.
Oh. Nope.
Loading.
Reclaimer.
Weapons to recharge.
I feel like they nerfed it.
Oh yeah.
I'm taking off now.
Hammerhead, he's red. Fuck it.
Heath?
Yeah.
Whoa!
Oh, what? I just lagged so bad.
Yep. We clipped them.
Yeah. Hold on a second. Yeah, that was an ouchie. I'm surprised we did not blow up there.
I'm on my way.
I need to recharge.
Elder Scrolls fucking skill system.
Oh yeah.
Big ass.
What's up, man?
What up?
Oh man, that dude yesterday at the end with a react.
Oh yeah.
Whew.
Yeah,
he killed me like
cringe.
he killed me like 3 times.
Yeah.
I fucking nailed him with my Gladius when he was sitting on the pad. I was like, you're gonna be out of the fight for a little bit, bro. Have any of you flown the A1 yet? The A1.
Yeah, I own one.
Firepower is actually pretty good for both pilots, and the A1 has an extra turret. A1 and E1 or C1 look like they have an extra turret, but the rest of them look like they have four like 2 size 3 weapons on the wings and then 2 size 2 weapons on the nose. Except the E1 has 3 size 3 weapons on the wings and 2 size 2 weapons on the nose.
This other hammerhead follow me.
See it?
C1 or A1 really seem more of like a better daily
gain strength.
Right.
Did I mishear that?
No, they're talking. It's like all straight up Second Life shit.
Tarkov's got the same mechanic in it.
But I don't want to do that.
Well, they said that you'll gain strength by carrying packages, but like.
It's like I think of it like Elder Scrolls Morrowind. Like basically whatever you were doing, you were running, you'd get better at running. If you were jumping, you'd get better at jumping. Shit like that.
Yeah. I did like that skill system quite a lot.
Activating.
There, there he is. You just had to say something, didn't you?
Well, because when I first shot him, it said friendly target.
You guys need help?
Nice. Nah, good. We got.
This guy's about fucked.
Yeah. I mean, if you want to join us, we're just doing service beacons right now in Hurston. Okay. Boom.
I thought I was a goner. Thanks.
I'm joining you guys over.
Okay.
I don't know if you want to let your guys know, but on my Twitch stream, if we can hit our 500, our goal of 500 subscribers by midnight, I'm giving away a Vulture.
How many are you out?
Yeah, it's a little more doable.
Yeah, if it was subscribers, it would be like 50.
So the E1 has the extra turret?
The C1 and A1 have a turret on top, a remote turret.
Yep. Huh. It's two size 2 weapons on them. All the pilot weapons were 2. The nose has 2 size 2 gimbals,
I thought
and
they were
the wing
size 3 gimbals.
Well, they're size 3, but size 2 gimbaled weapons.
Okay.
And then the wings are size 3 non-gimbals.
So I
That's a
purchased it, but I don't seem to have it in my inventory, my ship hangar.
Hey guys, we're going on 2 hours of these guys fucking rambling.
They're concept ships. They're not.
Oh.
They're not going to be out for years. Well, maybe next year. Who knows? I don't know.
So I'll be melting
not anytime soon.
Yeah, that's a good buyback token ship.
Yep. Ooh, critical. You guys want to do a critical?
Critical's doable.
Fuck it, I got it.
I'm changing ships.
Sharing it now.
Got it.
Okay. What do you guys want me to bring out?
We could use a torp boat.
I don't have one of those. I got an A2. Gladius, Arrow. Send an invite at your earliest convenience.
Oh, I need to finish updating. I definitely want to make sure I'm clicked in the title box before I hit the backspace button. Fucking activated self-destruct.
Need to, who do I need to send an invite to?
AK.
Okay. Oh, we are not here. Hold on.
Are we not friends?
Bash is now leader.
Alright, Bash. I know we're friends.
There you go.
Sure, the objective at your earliest convenience, sir.
Sharing it now and getting ready to jump in. Hopefully the Idris is not initialized.
Oh, fuck. I'm a perfect target.
Hey guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring something with torps. The Idris is hot.
Yes, sir.
He's go.
I'm in an eclipse. I'm gonna ripple all three at it as soon as I get there.
Okay. We're gonna tear the light ships out. Looks like one of the hammerheads isn't initialized. What is hitting us?
Hammerhead.
Oh, hi.
I have size 5.
Are you guys already on the Idris?
Hammerhead.
We're on a
No,
hammerhead
it's
right now.
hot.
Okay. I need to put different guns on this. I just claim a different ship at Everest. There we go.
Hammerhead down. That's the Idris. Is there something else that they're going after?
Yeah. Another hammerhead?
I think all the AI are going after the Idris. We might as well.
Same.
Yeah, all the AI are going after the Idris. We might as well just not let them size 10 railgun that fucking.
Is anyone still watching the stream?
I am.
Yeah.
Was that was the new Moby Glass, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was.
Yeah.
No, that looked pretty clean.
Damn it, I missed it.
Yeah, that's what Geek was saying. Like, they couldn't have showed this a fucking hour ago.
Yeah.
Okay, I am locking torps now.
Okay. Everyone, I would back up a little bit.
Ripple in 3.
Oh, I hear him. Oh, there he went right past me.
Good impact on 1. Miss. Nope. Good impact on 2.
And 3.
All 3.
Okay, I'm gonna burn and
hits.
restock.
All shields are pretty much down. Besides front.
Sun's behind you.
One of his rear engines is disabled.
It should help so he can't immediately spin on a fucking target.
He's red. Did I?
Yeah.
Wrong place, wrong time kind of thing here. Like showed up and was like, "Oh, this is what I got."
Hang on. I got an idea.
There goes another engine.
Like that poor guy that jumped.
10 seconds to regen the mags on these from empty.
It's about 6 seconds for me on my guns now.
Who the fuck just crashed into that?
Did Nebraska just
Yeah.
missile himself?
Yeah.
Did.
Okay, nice.
I'll do the same thing because I need to change ships.
Boom.
Oh, that got him.
That
got him.
actually killed him.
It was warped. I helped.
Alright, let's go wrap up that hammerhead. It's the white one over here.
Final words. Words restocked.
Yeah, my size 5s are great for this, guys. Perfect ship.
Incredibly challenging. It's also incredibly rewarding. I have to say that
that was bad. I was watching the stream.
So I thought for certain that you were just gonna lawn dart us right into the side of him. I was like,
no, that was not the intention. I was just trying to watch the damn stream.
He's
come on,
just
Quantum.
up there.
She's
he
activated.
goes. Now he's active.
It's an incredible.
He's not happy no more.
Yeah, it's about to be deleted.
That we're doing.
Look, he's already in bad shape.
There's still people watching the fucking stream.
Look at this constellation Phoenix and walking outside onto a planet and looking at the.
Oh, Rizzy blew up. My shields went out in the front.
Good ending. Fucking it blows up and then the 600i just kind of flies up in front of us.
Can't do and
yeah, that was cool.
And don't do, the more limited spaces, and we're utilizing it in
I got a high threat.
to give
I
you
will
a
share it.
single-player
Oh,
experience
maybe.
that sort of feels
Nope.
like you're in a huge play environment system that you traverse around. When we talked about,
I'm glad you're getting them. I'm not even seeing contracts come through.
All the different, down to the detail mechanics of picking up something off a desk and moving it
10 out of 10 would murder HD security again.
Being able to build a system that can do
I will be right back.
for the
1
detail
second.
fidelity that we're telling a really rich story in Squadron, but also a huge universe that you can exist in as a sandbox for everyone to play it is a complete. I mean, from a developer's standpoint, by the community out there is a something I'm always eternally grateful for, and it's the best job in the world. So. As much as it can be difficult sometimes, as much as it can be frustrating,
Yeah, interdicted.
Bitching about something or something doesn't work.
And they're dead.
What kind of idiot did this, or which, doesn't this person know how to run a project and all the rest of the stuff. It's still the best job in the world.
So you read the feedback?
Well, of course, we all read the feedback. Every developer reads everything, but you need a thick skin. I mean, at the end of the day, you have a vision in your mind.
I gotta repair and rearm.
To be able to really fulfill that. I mean, it's a bit of a Pandora's box that got open when we realized we had the level of support to really go all the way, because it's a completely different scope of game now than 10 years ago when I got on stage and I was pitching a much more limited, sort of privateer, freelancer online, and a next generation Wing Commander. What we're building now is a completely different experience in terms of a lot more just fidelity and scope and possibility in the idea that you can do and go there, do it, do all those things. That is, like I said, I think there's almost nobody out there in the industry that has got the opportunity to do that. We're getting to do that here at CAG. It's thanks to everyone that's supporting the project. Quicker and faster than we end up doing it, but it's not because we're just sitting here, eating bonbons. We are working really hard, and it's exciting. I mean, for me, I look at things we have in development, how far we've come, how far spending more time in the game than it was last year than the year before. I mean, we're accelerating. I think.
Yeah, I still don't have my loaners for the new ships.
Over the last few years has become more
For the A1s?
Yeah.
Oh, well, unacceptable.
I don't either.
It's time to burn them down.
Yeah.
What's the loaner for them?
Well, for the bomber, it's the DUR. For the executive ship, it's the Cuddy Steel.
Oh my god.
And the Cuddy Steel, the Cuddy Black, and the Freelancer Mist are the...
Never want to have a fucking Cuddy Steel here.
It's still a great way to get you and your friends killed.
Well, yeah, the shitbox.
Looking forward, over the next few years, because we got a whole bunch of really cool stuff coming down the pipe. Beyond what we already have here.
You guys share a contract yet?
It is.
No, not yet.
Video games get this reputation of because it's hard work and because it's so difficult. It's like it's a job and it's like pain or whatever. But no, video games are fun. They're creative. They're expansive. They're collaborative. That I now
Warp Preacher. What else do you think a guy named Jesus would be doing? It was so hard for me not to type mowing my yard.
One thing I would say is that even though we are focused on Squadron 42, we still read all
Working at O'Reilly's
on the Spectrum, online, the comments or Reddit. So a lot of that feedback that's been coming to the game.
One reason
Can you see if you do it,
we've taken
Ader?
that on board, and we're starting to execute on that feedback with some of the systems that are not
Yeah, I got it.
as forefront in
Okay.
such as like the interaction system, how you interface
It's
with the
going.
game, the controls, and the action queuing and traversal. And I think the biggest takeaway for me when we start to look at all these features is that don't think of it as feature. It's
Can't fucking repair here. That's great.
put that game together for the system that we've got. And whilst that's
You really need to fix this shit.
I just want this to be over with so I can
better and making sure
get
that
the
all the things that new players
the STV and go drive around in it.
that we're smoothing them over.
Is that really the only two ships that are going to be available is fucking STV and those Crusader ships?
Yep.
I think it's, in the next few years.
I'm surprised they didn't put the Corsair on sale with them talking about it and it being done.
I think some of the things that come online will be real game changers to not necessarily what you do, but
I don't know. I also haven't checked the stores since I bought those
I've been checking
spirits.
There's nothing new.
So just so you guys know, if you look at the RSI updates in our Starcitizen feed, it tells you what they add and delete to the store as they do it.
if they're not talking about that aspect of the game, then you've done it right.
Yeah, I'm in the Discord for it.
I know. Well, I mean,
Squadron 42.
I was telling Warp to them if they want to see when things are added or changed in the store, you can just click right there and see the last changes that were made.
Remove some of the locations and aspects where you would see them to protect for spoilers and story elements of the game. But all this stuff is coming to
Have that channel muted.
at one point.
Dork.
The stuff we've been able to show you, the stuff we haven't been
Yeah.
able to show you.
Oh, I got another critical.
You were surprised by these skills.
I don't know if I got it. I did not.
Snuck that in there before the movie, but rest assured we will be following up on this conversation with visuals and a more in-depth discussion of how that'll work and how you'll interact with that stuff as we get closer to being able to do so. So if you've already gone to Spectrum or Reddit or your YouTube thumbnail and added little red laser eyes,
Oh, about to say fuck it to the stream and go take a power nap.
we just ask that you hang tight.
I mean, it's almost over.
The ASOC vehicle retrieval system.
It'll be fun. So yeah, so thank you, Chris. Thank you for taking the time to talk.
Yep, they're wrapping up now.
We'll look up our entire CitizenCon day here. But before we do, I want to throw it back to a video that we opened today's show with. It was a bunch of our developers and staff at our 5 studios around the world talking about their favorite things of the Star Citizen community. So we'd like to play that for you one more time, and when we come back, we'll put this whole baby to bed. So take a look.
You know, Jared's about to give Chris an earful during the commercial break.
Sound cliche, but
they believe as much as we do.
I love them because they continue to support us. It's the only thing that's kept me going. I've seen a lot of games and I've seen a lot of invested players, but they're right there with us throughout the whole process.
It's unlike anything that I've ever worked on.
The
thing I really like the most about the community is how welcoming they are.
To new players entering the verse for the first time. New players come every day.
It looks like I ran out of time. Get a hook up.
I found it very wholesome. When I first did the CitizenCon, where I got to fly the Carrack, everyone was so supportive, and the cheers I got when we were flying through that wormhole was unbelievable.
Their effort they put into like their creativity,
such as building a simulator inside of an entire RV or
the cinemas. I love watching them on my lunch break.
I enjoy watching the videos and the content.
There was one recently on Twitter where it was like the 100 players entering the atmosphere that just looks really grand. I love all the memes.
Some of the incredible fan art and passionate drive you see come out of them is fantastic.
How they come up with crazy ideas each and every day and surprise me.
I really like all the crazy shenanigans they get up to in the PU.
I can't cuss, can I? The new and exciting ways they find to break shit. Just the random stuff that you do. It's not like
I really like those spirit
ships. People doing crazy stunts.
Oh, you got a high?
Ships. I'm from the character team, so I think it's cool when they show off.
Got it.
Because that's really the only time I get to see them.
That's really
I
cool.
never lost
My
Discord.
favorite thing about the community around events.
Going to Bar Citizen.
It's always fun to meet some of the backers.
They've all been lovely to me in person. Even if they're like really frustrated, you can tell it's just they have so much love for it.
I really like when the community is very detail oriented about our work.
to see how excited they are about our progress.
How much inspiration we get from them, from their ideas.
I love the genuine enthusiasm.
The quick turnaround on feedback. I love that.
And how they're always interested in what's coming up.
Oh boy, you ready?
I especially appreciate the people
Yeah,
who
I'm
are
on.
able to keep track of dates.
It's a raid.
You know, call us out. It really impacts
Oh,
our decision process for, you know, what did we do
Yeah,
right? What did we do wrong?
It is the most rewarding thing in the entire development process.
We're not making the game alone, we're making it with the community.
Still keep cycling.
They really do make all this possible. I'm living the dream. We all are.
My favorite thing about the community, it'd be impossible for me to narrow it down to one. And if somebody said you had to, I'd probably just turn and walk away.
Oh, it canceled because you know these are fucking broken.
Oh yeah, it did cancel.
Beacons 2.0, by the way.
So we've got one final addition before we wrap this up. The Community Hub was first introduced way back when in 2015, 2016. I thought I had it, but I'm realizing I don't remember. It's needed some love, some TLC, some extra handling for some time, and finally we're about to roll out Community Hub 2.0. So I'll throw it to Tyler and our friends at Turbulent to tell you more.
Ooh, we get to see a preview of the new hub.
Hi everyone, my name is Tyler Whitkin and I'm the Director of Community at Cloud Imperium Games. Each
The
and
new
every day
Community
we're taken
Hub.
aback by the tremendous amount of creative community content coming from all of you. From a small 3D printed MSR that fits in the palm of your hand, to a full-size replica sandcastle of a 300i. No joke, someone actually did that. In fact, maybe they can pop it up right here. Wow. On the community side, we've always felt that if our developers were going to push the boundaries of what's possible with technology, that we needed to match that level of ambition with the engagement and tools that we provide to help the community thrive. With the incredible amount of creative content flowing from our community, it was a no-brainer that we needed to find a better way to
Totally thought about it before.
and we're very excited to show it to you.
Why are you in
today.
your stomach?
The team has been hard at work and focused
Oh,
on
you're gonna have
building
to get out of the
a
seat and get
completely
back
new
in.
platform that will make both sharing
Oh!
and browsing content easier than ever before.
To build
community hub, we really try to keep the Starcitizen identity, see what was good for the community and what they would like.
This is where most people will go when they want to search for new content or discover new people who play Starcitizen and make posts in the community hub. So it's a very good place to engage with others.
We want the community of Starcitizen to have this space that they deserve outside of the game, to keep talking and creating about the game, share and comment with each others.
Now, I know I'm a little biased, but for these reasons and for many others, I believe that the Starcitizen community is the best and the most creative community in all of gaming. In fact, if you agree, go ahead and drop an 07 in chat. Go ahead. By the way, this bit is pre-recorded, so I'm going to assume that you are spamming chat like crazy right now. Thank you.
You assumed wrong.
When creating a new post, you'll be able to choose between 3 post options.
Oh, there it goes.
So that would be an audio, a video, and an image type of post. Inside of them, you'll be able to obviously put a title and description in there, but also to pick and choose from a variety of different categories your post relates to. And that comes and play into the Discover page.
On the Discover page, you can browse over all the content. You can also filter content with your preferences. For example, if I want to see only videos that are about cosplay, I can now filter that and find only videos about cosplay. And I can also sort them by popularity or by date.
When you first arrive on the Community Hub, you arrive on the homepage, which features top trending content as well as posts from people you follow. Because yes, you can now follow people on the new Community Hub. You have a live stream section, which you can see the top players.
Anybody getting contracts?
Who play Starcitizen right now?
No, I think,
You
I
have
think
a
they just went down.
Also on the front page, and there's
Now I'm trying to get
also
back
the
again now.
sidebar.
And it's not just
Got a
all about
10,004
screenshots,
crash.
videos, and crafts. It's also about the human connection we make with like-minded spacefarers that we've met along the way. It's about friendship. Personally, for me, I've made countless meaningful connections with so many people that I otherwise never would have met outside of this community. And many of those connections I know I will cherish and carry with me for the rest of my life. And I'm confident that many of you have similar stories, which is exactly why it was vital to us to find better ways to keep you all connected with one another.
The Community Hub is a place of creativity and exchange between all the Starcitizen players.
The team has put a lot of work in it. We're working on it since quite a long time. We really put a lot of love and care in this, and we really hope the community will enjoy as much as us.
So you can head over to our website, dive in, check out all the new features, break the new features. It's okay. It's part of the process. And as always, we want to hear your thoughts. So make sure to head over to our dedicated feedback thread on Spectrum and let us know what you think.
It should be going live right now, I think is what they're saying.
We've got so many cool things planned for the months ahead, such as site-wide notifications, a massive shared content, and the best part about the new Community Hub, it's live right
Orcs
now.
2.0, when?
Oh, I thought you were saying that was in there too. I was like, Jesus.
No.
And if I'm not
No.
mistaken, that new version of the Community Hub should be pushing live right about
All right, yeah, they.
now. Or now. I don't know what time my watch is saying. It says it's like 12:30 in the morning. One last thing before we let you go, because we have more endings than Lord of the Rings movie. Atmo Esports is running our 10th anniversary racing event. The new Babbage Bash, or Babbage Bash, or something like that. That's immediately following this stream. We got a short video just telling you a little bit about who they are and what they do. So let's throw it to Atmo.
Sure, just in time for the new fucking Grey Cat Steve racing vehicle, right? Yeah.
Born from emergent community events like the Daymar Rally, the natural progression was to create esports events within an emergent environment and provide tournaments for esports teams in a unique way.
All right, here we go.
Atmo volunteers create events within massive sandbox gaming environments, and we work with talented community gamers to supply supporting roles such as camera crew, shoutcasters, event organisers, and so much more. Our team is a group of passionate professionals from all over the world.
It's gonna change the way we play the game.
5, 4, 3,
of our new home for our evergreen, recurring weekly video content for the foreseeable future. I hope you enjoyed it. There's a ton of information that I'm sure is going to feed our content creators in the community for months and months to come. But the last word on things shouldn't come from me. Let's throw it over to the peanut gallery, to our esteemed group of guests and visitors. Chris, oh gosh, hold on, let me get in here. There we go.
Get in here, get in here.
Hey, what do you want to say?
I think I've said quite a lot already. I don't really need to see that.
Yeah, please, no, don't say anything. Don't encourage him.
Well, let me start with
How drunk do you think they all are now after listening to Chris Roberts rant for fucking 2.5 hours there?
Wasted.
They're just trying to stand up proud, like, just wrap it up, man.
That was crazy.
Universe that we're doing. I know everyone that meets everyone from the community out here really appreciates the sense of support and love that everyone puts in from your side and also from our side into the project. So
That goodwill's only going to last for so long.
Working on getting persistent streaming out and 318, which hopefully we're going to go to Evocati this coming week, right, Aaron? You think maybe?
Absolutely.
Yep. All right. So we'll see Guillaume over here. He's not Mike, so he can't really say much. But he's our director of development on Starcitizen Live. So we're working hard on that for this year, and that's going to be a massive patch with a lot of really cool features and gameplay in it. And of course, we're working very hard on Squadron 2. But it's been a great time. It's been an amazing ride so far. I'm looking forward to the future. So you did get some of your twinsies with you.
Yes.
There you go. And thank you very much. Happy birthday, Star Citizen. Happy birthday, the community.
Happy birthday,
Happy birthday.
Star Citizen.
Let's throw it to Atmo. Bye, everybody.
Goodbye. See you next year.
Bye, everyone.
Cheers.
Investing in tomorrow's future.
Is anyone near an ASOP?
Yeah.
Are there any new ships in there that you see?
What do you mean?
Well, someone's talking about getting ships, like new ships that they didn't buy. They're popping up in their ASOP.
What do you mean new ships? Like,
let me look.
Like So, ships yeah. new to them. Somebody in World Chat said they got free ships.
Yeah, someone in World Chat's full of shit.
Are you at like an HDMS?
Yeah, I'm at.
Nope.
Nope.
Nothing new.
All the same stuff.
Were you guys were all waiting at a mining station?
No, I just landed us at Everest since we weren't getting any beacons.
But would Everest show it if it was the new Grey Cat?
F2 would.
The Grey Cat, no, not at Everest. You'd have to go to like a, Platinum Bay or something.
They wouldn't give us that for free anyway. It's gonna be on the store, I guarantee it.
Well, they said it was gonna be on the store after the CitizenCon thing was over. So.
Well, it's over.
Yep, there it is.
On the store?
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Okay. Well,
how much are you, you son of a bitch?
35
for the war bond.
Yeah, 35 for the war bond, 40 for the.
Yeah, I'm not
one with the plus blue steel paint. For Consi, yeah, no, fuck that.
Wait, is it lifetime warranty or lifetime insurance? Yep, those are.
I already have enough LTI tokens. It is a pretty affordable LTI token though. That's not, if you're into collecting the LTI tokens, it's a good one to get.
bought one. I'll buy 2 for LTI tokens.
I'm gonna relog and then I'll head down to a thing. We can fuck with them if you guys want.
That green.
Yep, I'm buying right now.
That green paint's pretty wild.
I also bought that.
I got that.
Fuck it. Well, I'll just keep with the blue steel paint.
Yeah, give me a second and I'll log. Let me actually finish the purchase and make sure it's in my shit.
Is it just me, or have you guys never